we have the perfect motive due to if they could have done it, they would have done it. Or if they were going to do it, it wouldn't be this way right now. So we know you can't do it. So we have to get somebody else that's going to do it.
Right.
That's right.
I think they can do it. It's just the
You
system
didn't do it. So they are. I wouldn't know. Why would I go to you if you didn't do it when you could have done it?
because the people that's controlling the system here is not allowing them to do it. I think there's a lot of foreign nations that want to come in and clean up and do things, but the corporate entity is not allowing them to do so. That's the reason why they have the regulation on imported exported foods. The reason why we only have the farmers markets for where we can get exotic foods from natural resources. You know, they got a cap on a lot of things because of the game they want to play and keeping population control and other things, to keep us down.
Extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That's what they're maintaining, which then bleeds over into everything else. Population control, just having judicial and criminal and judicial jurisdiction over the people in the land within the jurisdiction of the United States, whether you are a Moroccan or you're some foreigner from Korea. Once you're in the United States, once you come into this trap, the cares of the world, this is where it is. This is where you're at. But it's not as bad as, I don't really believe that it's as bad as social media puts it out. And Brother Maru mentioned about legislation for the water when you brought up the water situation. That's the beautiful thing about a lot of these international documents when you convert it, because those subject matters have already been addressed. So like in the rights of indigenous people, there's 3 or 4 articles that talks about the land, the resource, the territory. What is the resource to the land? Water. It falls into that category. So when you convert the legislation to enact it in your state as law, you're covering the bases as it relates to the water, because it's dealing with land, territory, resources. Water is one of the resources. So
Yeah.
we basically have. Go ahead.
Yeah, oil, not just the water.
Yeah, oil, water,
crystals. Yeah,
silver, the whole 9.
Yeah.
The resources, and that's what it talks about. The indigenous people are to get back the resources, and also they can't just exploit the resources without the consent of the people. And that's what they've been doing, and that's what they want to maintain, is that power to do so. But that power is only limited to the fact that we've been acquiescing.
That's right.
So all this stuff about what they're trying to maintain, like the good brother Maru was talking about, that goes out the window when the more state governments getting their way. It's over with at that point, and it's absolutely necessary. That's why this movement of statehood is so important, because without that, we're sitting ducks.
I see how important it is. I mean, I got that right away. I'm like, I don't understand why more and more don't see it.
Well, they will over time. In due time, this thing is going to start growing and spreading and growing. Akil, the brother from Maru, he'll be the wazir. They're working on he's editing the inauguration. He has videos dealing with international law and statehood. There's going to be more and more coming on talking about international law and statehood. And eventually we'll be eclipsing the misconcepts of enforcing the U.S. Constitution and all the BS that's floating around dealing with individual sovereign processes. We got to remember that we need to establish our governments. You can't we got to squad up, right? You wouldn't gangbang as an individual. You wouldn't be in a black neighborhood or a bad neighborhood or whatever neighborhood, whether it be Nazis or Crips, and you be the only one gangbanging by yourself. You're going to have a squad of people with you, right? So that's the same thing politically. We can't operate politically as individuals. We got to squad up. How do you squad up? 3 branches of government: ratified, deposited, and promulgated Constitution. Doing things in conformity with international law. So this is why I'm proud of you all who are coming along. I'm proud of all the national AMPAG. We got a wonderful set of people. glad that AMPAG is doing what they're doing, and I'm also proud of New Mecca. We're talking about 3 states online and 2 more coming online here very soon. And there's going to be more to come. There's another brother out there in Maryland that J Baby talking to. They're establishing one out there as well. And there's others coming along across Morocco. So before you know it, man, we're gonna have quite a few state governments in operation. And once that happens, not to mention that we're going to the ICJ pretty soon here in the next couple of months. And when that case takes place, trust me, they're not gonna be able to bury that. BBC's gonna pick it up. What's that? Al Jazeera, what's that foreign media outlet? Al Jazeera or something like that?
Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
Al Jazeera.
Right. They're gonna, you know what I'm saying? And then the ICJ and the UN got their own YouTube channel. You got social media, man. Please, this thing's gonna go viral, and it's gonna open up a new can of worms. And all the dirty Moors, all the COINTELPRO Moors, all the ones that are on the list, they will be found out. Oh, they will be found out, and they will be dealt with accordingly. The pen is mightier than the sword, so we ain't gonna scimitar them to death. Now, not physically, but they will get scimitared by way of the pen. They will get dealt with. I yield the floor. What's going on, brother? I see you on Marius, my brother. My Muslim brother, the only Ali in the world.
Yeah, Islam, man.
Islam. I'm chiming in to tell y'all good night.
Okay.
I almost had an accident. Go to bed.
I don't even know why you feel the need to do all that.
Yeah. No, I still want to step in and say what's up. Like,
okay.
I'd be super busy, so I'll be trying to squeeze in what I can, and this new gig is on me, but it's important. Like I'm planning to pay everything off. I'm gonna try to get that double-sided printer for the ID for us and AMPAG and New Mecca and all of them. You know what I mean? So we'll be able to at least gain it back through the, whatever we charge for the IDs. Because if we get the double-sided, then we'll be able to do what we really like to do. So. Huh?
Yeah, that's what I got. I got a double-sided.
Oh, you got the double-sided.
I got double-sided with the encoder. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, shit. I ain't got to do that then.
No, we'll just work with Macar.
You gotta design them. Give me the graphics, and we'll design it, and no problem.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we already got the design. It's on the website under state ID.
But I mean, I need the individual graphics.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, Hakeem could get that to you. He's the man. Mm-hmm. He's the man of the hour as it relates to the state IDs.
Islam, I sent over the designs with everyone's individual photos, or at least the photos I received and edited, as well as their appellation. However, I sent them all to Sister Story to fill out the details.
Okay, I was in communication with her about charts and stuff too. So I'll ask about that next time we talk.
Gotcha. Right. And if I could real quick, Wazir, I had that meeting with Sister Nova from AMPAC earlier today.
Okay.
There's a lot that we went over, a lot to share as well. I got some documents from her that I need to share with you. But also, she mentioned that in the meeting, I believe the day before yesterday, someone from AMPAG had inquired about some resource documents from a study session video. So she sent me those documents for whoever requested it.
That was me.
You? Okay, so I can email that to you real quick. Or a matter of fact, I'll just send it to you on Telegram.
Islam.
That's all.
is that document you're talking about with Sister Nova? Is that sensitive information, or can that be
Oh
shared
no, no,
now?
no. Yeah, everything she shared with me, she said that it's essentially open. Everybody needs to know about it. What I'm gonna share with Brother Amaru is specifically those session resources.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked what I was asking is because being that this is an open forum conversation or discussion meeting for all nationals and friends, families, and everybody. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and share it now. I'll give you the host so you can share it if you want to, or if you're at the computer. It's up to you.
Okay, okay. Islam.
Okay, you want me to
Wait,
share the host?
you're recording though. No, you're
Yeah, I
recording,
am.
so I'll probably just put them in a Google Drive and then share the link here so everyone can have access to it.
Okay, Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, they're doing some great work over there. Hakeem with Nova over there in at AMPAG. One thing that they're working on is uh creating a study guide with downloadable documents to go along with each study session. That's a big time game changer there, because now it makes it a lot. It facilitates the studying process. So I think that that's a beautiful thing right there. Um, Islam there, Islam. So I mean, how many people do we have online? So we can identify. The story is not on because she's busy on a job. But I guess we need to know the head count for the two different dates. I guess she's the one who posted it, so I guess she would be the one to have it. So I'd have to wait on that to find out what it is. Anyway, so yeah, so I spoke today with Jay, and it was a great conversation as usual. And there's some great plans, some great things to come ahead in the near future. Um, we just want to remind everyone, where
Your audio cut out.
Is the audio on?
Nah, his audio cut out, but then he dipped out on that account, so he might be coming back with it.
somehow kicked off. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah, I can
Hello?
hear you now.
Did you
Yes,
all did you hear did y'all hear anything that I said?
Nope.
No, you was gone.
Yeah, you sure were.
Oh, I even shared the screen. So Brother Hakeem shared this document with me, and he actually posted it. He posted another document actually on social media, and then he also shared this with me. And I was asking you all, I highlighted this name for a reason. Does the name Lucius Fairchild ring a bell to any of you?
Lucius Fairchild?
Lucius Fairchild.
Fairchild does, but not Lucius.
All right. Let me show you
Doesn't
who
ring
Lucius.
a bell.
What was that?
I said doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Let me show you who Lucius Fairchild is. When this loads up. Okay. Here we'll find out who Lucius Fairchild is. Let me move this around. Should be at the end. Do y'all see his name here?
Yeah, I see it right at the top left.
Yeah, that's it.
He was one of the plenipotentiaries that was at the convention, the Madrid convention in 1880, right of protection. Okay. All right. So that's Lucius Fairchild. And where is it? Right here. So that's Lucius Fairchild. So he came back April 13, 1880. So when was the Madrid convention? What was the year?
It was around the same time, 1880.
Well, it was definitely in 1880, but I'm looking at the month. Convention signed at Madrid, July 3rd, 1880. So the convention was signed on July 3rd, 1880. And then he comes over here, what, January, July, wait, that was before? Okay. April is before July. So, no, something doesn't make sense here. Am I looking at this wrong? Perhaps it was enacted prior and then it was signed into law on July 3rd. Senate advice and consent of ratification, May 5th, 1881. Okay, we got to figure out. I'm just actually opening this up and actually looking into it, but I noticed that we should examine the date, and here it says July 3rd for the signing of the Madrid Convention. The legation of the United States, Madrid, April 13, 1880, received April 29. Okay, so the document is called Papers Relating to the Foreign Relations of the United States, transmitted to Congress with the annual message of the President, December 6, 1880. And so Mr. Fairchild was speaking to Mr. Everts. And he said, "Sir, I learned that under the treaty between Spain and Morocco, all Spanish subjects residing in the latter country." So who are the Spanish subjects? Moors. They're Moors. All Spanish subjects residing in the latter country are held to be free from all taxation and from the civil and criminal jurisdiction of the emperor. This exemption is also held to extend to such Moors. This exemption is also held to extend to such Moors as may become Spanish subjects and return to Morocco to reside. Article 15. Under the most favored nation clause of other treaties, some nations claim and have exercised these rights, much to the detriment of Morocco. And we know where we heard the term most favored nation clause. That was in the case between France and the United States, right? The United States was trying to claim that. So then it goes on to say, it is also, I am in informed the practice in Morocco to claim the same exemption for all Moorish subjects who are protected by foreign representatives. This is what you want me to say. This is the historian. Go
That
ahead.
kind of ties back into that thing the guy had said in Congress about Moorish citizenship and how um, we didn't really have a basis for it. As long as a Moor was being protected by another nation, then he's considered a subject of that nation. He's not considered a subject of Morocco, right?
Right. Ipso Joe Morris subject. You're
Right.
talking about the expatriation, protection, foreign protections abroad, or whatever. Hoffman Phillip.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It does tie into that, right? And that discussion took place in 1906. This took place. Well, we're going over here. Took place in 1880.
Right. He
So
was just recalling all that.
exactly, and reaffirming Article 15. Let's do this. Well, I'll pull it up later. Let me finish this reading. So it says, it is claimed that such exemptions extend to all Moors who may be appointed. Well, let me go back. So it said, it is also, I am informed, the practice in Morocco to claim the same exemption for all Moorish subjects who are protected by foreign representatives. Who are the foreign representatives? Notice it's a plural, representatives. Well, the other signatory powers. It could be Spain, it could be Germany, it could be Great Britain, it could be United States. In our case, it's the United States. We're protected by the United States. Then it goes on to say whether such Moors are in the direct employ of such representatives or not. It is claimed that such exemptions extend to all Moors who may be appointed commercial agents or brokers of foreign merchants. Such agents or brokers and other Moors, you see how you keep calling those Moors, they know who we are, who not acting in either capacity are simply protected, are liable to be protected in great numbers, and great abuses are said to have arisen in consequence thereof. Abuses. So there's been abuses that came about based on the fact that we're under protection. What abuses could they be talking
Well,
about?
yeah, they were saying that Moors were abusing that exemption
Ah,
loophole,
ah.
right?
Okay,
So
it's one.
just because, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, being that all they had to do, well, some of them at least, was to have protection under a foreign government. Um, and as it said in this, they didn't even need to do that as long as they were like um, agents or brokers or whatever um, doing commerce, then they can be exempt from paying taxes to the Empire of Morocco. So a lot of Moors abuse that in order to not pay taxes, and thereby kind of draining the economic vitality of the empire.
Interesting. Okay, great analysis. Great analysis. This is my first time reading it, but great analysis. So and that sounds like Moors today.
Right, just selfish, greedy, you know, don't want to do nothing to help, you know what I mean?
Right, right. So let's read that again. Such agents or brokers and other Moors who not acting in either capacity, what capacity that would be as an agent or broker? Okay, I see. In either capacity are simply protected, are liable to be protected in great numbers, and great abuses are said to have arisen in consequence thereof. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. It is supposed that these 2 points will come to the front as perhaps the most important questions to be discussed in the approaching conference. Oh, okay. The approaching conference. Okay, that makes sense. So the conference hadn't taken place yet. It's approaching. So he's gearing up to attend the convention or the conference, which is the right of protection, which was signed in July 3rd, 1880. And this discussion took place April 13th. So that's why he says approaching. The approaching conference. As there will probably be time to hear from you before the meeting of the proposed conference, I have thus briefly stated the points for your information and for your instructions, should you desire to give any. I am now inclined to the opinion that that it is claiming altogether too much of any nation to demand that when its subjects go to a foreign country and there become naturalized, they shall have the right to return to their native land, to reside and be exempt from the payment of ordinary taxes and from the criminal and civil jurisdiction of the government. This is what he said. He's talking Article 15, and Article 15 don't even exist yet, which means that they must have been briefed about this coming up, and that's why he came here. He approached Mr. Whoever was his name, Evarts, to discuss the matter. Therefore, there become naturalized, they shall have the right to return to their native land, to reside and be exempt from the payment of ordinary taxes and from the criminal and civil jurisdiction of the government. I am sure the United States would never for a moment allow such exemption, right? So this is where the whole thing about customs and usage come in, also the right of assent. So up to this point, really up until 1956, the United States was under the impression that they had the authority to exercise right of assent on us, meaning that we had to ask permission, for one, ask permission to return to Morocco, two, for our Moroccan laws to be enforced upon them if they were to give us the right of assent. In 1956, that whole idea was shot down because the International Court of Justice ruled against that. They said, no, that's not true. Nowhere in the treaty say that that the Moors have to get any kind of right of assent from you. They can enact legislation and consent to their Moroccan governments, and also the Moroccan laws can be made applicable against you, right? As long as consular jurisdiction is being exercised, and in that way only. That's what they said. So up until then, they had that misconcept in their own minds that we needed right of assent. Well, that mindset is dead, right? So now they know for sure, if they never knew before, that we don't require right of assent, and they cannot continue operating based on customs and usage. So that's why that case was so powerful and telltale for us as Moors. Such exemptions claimed for Moors who may be in the employ of foreign merchants as brokers or business agents do not now seem to me to be founded upon Love Master, you gotta mute yourself. I think it's Love Master. Peace, Love Master. How you doing, brother?
Oh, how you doing, brother? I'm mute.
Islam. I love that name. Love Master. That's dope. All right.
Oh,
yeah. Such exemptions claimed for Moors who may be in the employ or foreign merchants as brokers or business agents do not now seem to me to be founded upon strict justice to the Moorish government. Moorish government. So if they're talking about our Moorish government back in 1880, and right now in 2022, we don't have Moorish governments, then what the hell is missing? Moorish governments. Why are we arguing this point? Why are we not understanding this point? Why are we trying to stand our square on ecclesiastical law, theocratic governments, when their constitution affirms and reaffirms the fact and the truth that treaties is the supreme law of the land. So if treaties is the supreme law of the land, that means it trump ecclesiastical law, theoretical government, theocratic governments, and all this weird stuff that they talk about. I ain't gonna say it's weird, but it's just not the right law. The supreme law of the land is treaties. Period. It's just they're talking about Moorish governments. All right. While such agents and brokers ought undoubtedly to be so far protected as to protect them from all harm and loss of property belonging to foreign merchants, I do not now understand why such agents should not bear their fair share of the burdens of taxation for the support of the government, nor why they should not be amenable to such civil and criminal laws as do not interfere with the full protection of the foreign merchant's property while in such agents' possessions. As a matter of course, I suppose foreign representatives have generally claimed for the citizens of their respective countries all the rights and privileges which may at any time have been accorded to others. But now that these privileges and rights may come before the proposed conference for investigation. You mute your mic. Somebody mute your mic. I think it's there. You go. Thank you, good brother. Where was I? But now that these privileges and rights may come before the proposed conference for investigation and adjustment for the future, the question as to whether they are right or wrong, just or unjust, necessary or not, is a pertinent one. And it is well worth considering whether the United States should claim or uphold other nations in claiming in the conference any privilege which under ordinary circumstances we should not concede in our own country. Look at them now. The right of protection representatives in Morocco to see that their countrymen are not threatened in an unwarrantable, unjust, or harsh manner, and that they shall be free from all extraordinary taxes and services which ought not in justice and right to be demanded of them, is so clear that it will probably not be disputed or questioned at the proposed conference. So they're gearing up for the conference. If Morocco is to be considered, and now listen to this part, this is the part that I read. If Morocco is to be considered and treated as an independent nation, all right? If Morocco is to be considered and treated as an independent nation, I now fail to see why foreign representatives should have the right in any way of protecting Moorish subjects who are neither in their employ nor in the service of foreign merchants as agents or brokers. If one such more, now this goes back to the point you was making, Hakeem. If one such more can be protected, and look how they put that in quotes, quote unquote, if one such more can be quote unquote protected out from under the jurisdiction of his government and rendered independent of the laws of his country, then 100, 1,000, or 1,000,000, or any other number may, and the emperor be relieved of all his subjects and of the trouble of governing them. True, the emperor might be a happier man to be thus relieved, but why should that happiness be conferred on him and his burdens assumed by the representatives of other powers?
Right. So that's the benefit that I mentioned in the comment.
Right.
That's the benefit, but the concern is if 1,000,000 Moors leave your empire, essentially the jurisdiction of your empire, just to get a tax exemption, then you're going to be losing X amount of dollars. You feel me? Every year.
Yep.
But at least you have less burden on the government of having to protect these knuckleheaded Moors. You feel me?
Right. Right, right. And so that burden was placed up was
Right.
placed upon foreign powers.
Like, you want these Moors? Take them. They don't want to pay
Yeah.
taxes anyway. So what do you
Right.
think they're going to try to do?
Right, right, exactly, and that makes the point. The good brother Seer the Duke of Tears, he pointed that out in one of his videos several times. Actually, he's pointed that out a couple times that they went to the government of Morocco for assistance with labor, and the government was basically saying, you know, you can take those Moors over there; they ain't doing nothing anyway. You know what I'm saying? And that
Right.
kind of lines up with that exact point. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I believe the prophet had written that down somewhere as well.
Yeah. Or it might have been the Clock of Destiny. Um that might have been the Clock of Destiny as well. CM Bay also spoke on that. As part of a historical context. Now, brother Hakeem, you pointed out something in one of those posts about and that's when I was like, I need that document where you were talking about um the Sultan removed Moors from government.
Yeah. Um,
Elaborate
believe it
on
was
that, please.
around that same time frame as well. But yeah, I shared it in the Telegram because I believe it was some more. I forgot his position, but he was in the government of Tangier, I believe, and he was trying to start stuff basically, um, disturbing the peace between the United States and his Moorish government. And of course, he got booted by an order from the Sultan. Um, and that's what one of the U.S. representatives had written in his letter back to the United States to notify them of stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that it gives you a glimpse as to the history and how we ended up where we ended up. So did we end up
Right.
where we ended up based on belligerence? Because if that's the case, it kind of lines up with our behavior today. We're still belligerent.
I think that belligerence was a huge problem, but I think we had issues with each other and who's running the government, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, a lot of Moors uh, um, were trying to do their own thing. But of course, the Sultan would have every now and then put them in check. But then you have the other Moors that are taking advantage of this tax exemption stuff. That's again draining the finances of the empire. And you can't run an empire of hopes and dreams. You need taxes to fund it. You know what I mean? Or if you have a large reserve of oil or something, you can fund it that way.
Well, and keep that in this time period, the empire was already crumbling anyway. It was already
Right.
deteriorating.
Right.
Belligerents, and also keep in mind that the sultans at the time were not necessarily those who look like us. They were pale-faced sultans, sort of like Abdul Aziz that you'll find on the Circle 7 Quran. These were the Arab type people, not exactly the melanated Moors who should be sitting in those offices in the first place. Um, so that's another point to consider. It has been bleached out for quite some time, all the way up till 1880, 1906, the Treaty of Madrid, all the way down to 1956, all the way till now. The Kingdom of Morocco is being operated and ran by, uh, you know, light-skinned Arabs, who are pretending to be Moroccans, right? But they're not Moroccans. Who are the Moroccans? Us. We are the original indigenous autochthonous Moroccans, not Americans. Um, that's a foreign jurisdiction. Plymouth Rock landed on us. What's Plymouth Rock? America. America landed on Morocco. We didn't land on them. They landed on us. So we have to get away from the misconcept of America, because it's the same way we got away from the misconcept of Negro, blacks, colors, and all those other things. the same way they misnomered the people, they did the same thing with the land, which brings about an encroachment of the jurisdiction under extraterritorial jurisdiction, because it's an extra territory that you're claiming under your jurisdiction. That's not your territory. That's not your jurisdiction. Your jurisdiction was really just the 13 colonies. And you basically spread that jurisdiction across Morocco. And when I say across Morocco, I'm not even just talking about northwest Amexem. I'm talking about southwest America. Everywhere where you see America, that's Morocco. South America, Morocco. Central America, Morocco.
Islam.
It's not America, it's Morocco. Go ahead, brother.
So, one thing that when we get to this point of having a national government in order to resurrect the empire, it's going to have to be widely known, even though it's known now, but of course some Moors are still in denial, that if you identify as Moorish American, you automatically are under the jurisdiction of the United States, right? You
You're a
are
state.
not under the jurisdiction. Yeah, you're not under the jurisdiction of the empire, right? Unless we want to claim jurisdiction over you.
Right.
But still, um, and so where was I going with that? I've completely lost my train of thought. But yeah,
Uh,
so the whole issue with Moors on Instagram or whatever saying out their mouth that this is Morocco, not America, then they turn around and say, well, I'm Moorish American. That's automatically them saying, without saying it, that they're incompetent. And so what does the United States courts do when you give them any signs of incompetence? You know, they treat you
right.
as such without telling you, hey, you just admitted you're incompetent. Now they're just going to treat you like you're an idiot and just claim jurisdiction over you, you know?
Right.
So when we get to that point where the empire is up and running, those who want to continue to chase after the gods of Europe or whatever, you know, eventually they're gonna reveal some level of incompetence, and at that point, anybody can claim jurisdiction over them.
Well, according to Article 102 of the Act of Algeciras, we have jurisdiction over more subjects. So that's just the bottom line.
And that too.
They foreigners and more subjects, anyone on this land. So foreigners, that's not limited to the United States citizens. That could be a Korean citizen under a registered status here in the United States, or naturalized status, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. What they call illegal alien as Mexicans, they're under our jurisdiction. Everybody's under our jurisdiction. Why? Because we are the sovereign power, the sovereign authority, the Sharifian authority. So there will be legislation. As a matter of fact, now that you mentioned that about Moorish Americans, there'll be legislation where Moorish Americans or anyone who's not in the status of a Moroccan couldn't even wear the fez. Imagine that. I mean, we finna put the hammer down on everybody, Moors and
Oh,
colonists.
wait. I hear you. That, however, might be perceived from a legal standpoint as denationalization, because that's a national symbol. Um,
They're already
right.
denationalized.
Even though they claim Moorish American as their nationality, denationalizing themselves and putting themselves back in the jurisdiction of the United States, still that act of us removing the fez from their heads, it's not going to look good on us in terms of international law.
Well, you could potentially be right about that, but here's the thing. That's not a what do you call, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a permanent removal. The choice is you have to choose between the entire submission. So if that would bring you back to Morocco. If you want to keep wearing your fez, ain't nobody saying you don't have to wear your fez, but you cannot impersonate a Moroccan national. Because if we don't, now we're gonna have confusion. Who is who? Everybody's wearing fezes. but that's it's reserved for the nationals, because that's what is it called? A national headquarters. So you are if when it comes on to denationalization, that's not the case. They've already been denationalized, and they're maintaining their own subjugation when they could just as easily choose between the entire submissions and get back your fez and your turbans. But something has to be done in such from the perspective of keeping down the confusion. You can't have a NABCA. NABCA is a new acronym from the good brother Jay Bay: Negroes, Blacks, Coloreds, African Americans, Moorish Americans. You can't have people that are already denationalized, Black people running around in fezzes, and then you've got your actual Moroccan nationals walking around in fezzes. Who is who? We've got to have there's got to be a line that's drawn. That's an idea right now, and obviously when the time comes, we can all sit at a round table and identify and basically deliberate over it. But that's just an idea for now. But I don't really think that we will be denationalizing them. They've already denationalized. They're keeping themselves in a subjugated status of denationalization, and you have the choice just as well to choose between entire submissions and come back home to Morocco. So, but yeah, so that could be something that could be deliberated and discussed when the time comes. That's just an idea. Me and Jay Bay were talking about that. I mean, we talk about everything, all types of legislation. We will have an anti-defamation anti-defamation league as well, just like the Jews do. So you say anything bad about the Jews, what's going to happen to Kanye is what's going to happen to Kanye. Same thing with us. You try to come in and try to use propaganda and call us sovereign citizens and Moorish Americans and all these other things, that's not going to be tolerated. There's going to be legislation in place to keep that kind of stuff from happening. So, there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of ideas to exercise, and that's where getting good with the pen comes in hand, gives us the power, because if right now we're on training wheels, the faster we can get good at writing legislation, the faster we can start doing X game stuff with the pen, right? Because there's no limit to what we can put down on paper. The only limit is what's in our own minds. And in order to open up our minds and our spirit to, fully blossom into the skill set of enacting legislation, the only way we could do that is by doing it and practicing it and exercising it. And over time, we'll start getting better and better and better with legislation. Brother Love, you look very locked in with the conversation. Tell us about yourself, brother. How you doing, man?
Well, peace and love, brothers. How y'all doing?
All is well. All is well, good brother.
Islam, brother, Islam.
Brother M, I see you as well, locked in with the
Yeah,
conversation.
I have
Peace and
I have
love,
a
brother.
lot of documentations I would like to share with y'all when we meet, and we can go off of a lot of potency. I have I won 2 cases, but I say one because they dismissed it. So I had won a case. It was a drug, not a drug. It was in a drug area, they said, and I had a gun. And when I went in the courtroom at first, they was like, state your name for the record. So right there, I had got stuck. Like, state my name for the record. I was like, I want to disclaim the name that y'all claim me of, but I'm in my proper status. So the lady, she cut the mic off and she said, she did a recess right then and there. And she was like, bro, don't you know you dead? I was like, what you talking about? So from that point on, Dr. Malachi Z. Yoke woke me up out of all of this. Dr. Malachi Z. Yoke, I was the only one in my family reclaim my Moorish status. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know that they Moors, And I'm from Louisiana. I'm from New Orleans. So, my mother, mother, was my grandmother, is Native. She's pure Indian. My grandfather, he's pure Indian. They got blood work on them. My grandfather passed through, he pure Indian, but my grandmother, she's like got a little bit of a little European, I guess. My great grandmother must have had sex or got raped by one of them or something like that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went through the fire, brother. I had to go through the fire to put out the fire. So everything came to me in a one-man cell doing 23 and 1.
Can I ask you a question? You had mentioned something about when the judge said, state your name for the record, and you didn't say what you said. You said something about proper persona, and she's put a recess and said, you're dead? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you said you were in proper persona, she said you're dead.
She closed the record. They got off the record, and when she said, and that's what she said it when they closed the record on a recess, before she even got off the bench and walked in the back, she was like, "Don't you know you're dead?" And I looked at her. I was like, I was puzzled. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she just walked to the back.
Now,
White lady, you know what I'm
was she
saying?
referring to your Black status? Is that what she was referring to?
Yeah, because I asked her where's her delegation of when she came back for recess, I was like, "Oh, where's your delegation of authority order? We are not the same national peers. You can't represent me."
And
You
how did,
know, we're not going under the color of law, but I didn't really know a lot about, what to say and how to say it. I didn't know.
yeah.
I would just, huh?
And when you said what you said, she said she's dead and you went back in. Is that the case that was dismissed?
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Now I just got my dogs. They went in the back and took all my dogs. See, I have a kennel. And the lady, I didn't sell her a dog, and she worked for the animal shelter. She got mad, and when I left, that they was stalking my house. They went back there, broke the lock, went in my interest, and took my dogs. They didn't say anything was wrong with my dogs. I didn't have any notification, no warning, no nothing. So I talked to one brother that say he's a Moor and this and that and third. He used me for my money, and
Sure.
I haven't talked to him anymore.
Right. That's
We
That's
are,
heavy.
what.
we
So that's
are,
what I've been having with the brothers that says they're Moors, and they say they this and that, and they get certain things out of you, and you don't hear from them no more.
unfortunately, my brother, we all ran into it. I'm another victim of that as well. And it was it's unfortunate that our brothers did us this way, but we know from history. It's been done from history. They still out there. It's still gonna be dirty Moors out there. So we just rise up above that.
Facts, facts,
Exactly.
man. And let me ask y'all one question: do y'all know where to get the garments from? Cause I went everywhere. I couldn't even
Where you at,
find a
Atlanta?
garment. All I have is the dash,
Atlanta?
all my dashi.
Are you in Atlanta?
Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm in that. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Georgia. I'm in McDonough.
Oh, you in McDonough? Oh, it's a store in Decatur. It's a called Mirage Cerise, and that's where I got mine. But it's another store in Harbor Place Mall in Douglasville. That's called Way You Wear. That's another store in there.
Yeah, you're
So
gonna have to probably give me the location so I can go tomorrow and go get one.
yeah, Mirage Cerise. I put it in the chat. I put the names of the stores in the chat.
So let me ask you, good brother Love, what brings you here? And how did you end up
I had
ingratiating yourself with AMPAG?
Well, I met the brother Marcus. I met the
Oh,
brother, and he was introduced by a lady that was doing my hair, and she spoke up on me because I was walking. She's like, "Hey, there go the brother, like right there, man. You know, he talks about the Moor. He's a Moor, woo, 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 right?" And so I met the brother. I walked in, and that's how that came about. You know what I'm saying? And he broke certain things down to me that made sense. Also, I had a dream about it. I was like, I'm about to meet somebody. I'm gonna walk in somewhere. I don't know where it's at. And after that, when I met him after it, it was like a whole millions of people that was following us. And we were just leading. And they just was just coming. Like we was marching and they just was just coming. You know what I'm saying? And then we met up. It was something like a million man march. Like when we met up, wherever we met up at. And from that point on, the whole world changed. Like everything changed back to the original.
mm,
Everything.
mm.
Nancy Pelosi, you can get down from that slave house that y'all make everything to keep us a slave. It's no more of that. You know, you could keep your side of y'all folks, y'all could keep y'all side of the dump. Everybody that's not of the light, you know, and they still in the dark, y'all can have them because they already had the signs. They seen it. The whole world seen it, you know, on video and everything. The whole world seen it. And they didn't want to come. So they wanted to come on their side. So let them stay on their side.
Mm. That was the dream.
Everybody else that original and indigenous to this land that they supposed to have owned our land. Because like I tell these people, I'm like, look, bro, these white folk, they can't do nothing, man. All they can do is possess something. They can't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
They can't.
True.
So, but they gotta know that. But I'm 39 speaking this. So when you a certain age, when you old 40s and your 50s, and my heart involved, and I'm in these classes, and the brothers feel like I done passed him up to the point where he don't want to teach me certain things because, oh, who taught you about a UCC? How you get a UCC already? Were you mad because I got it? Or you want to learn how to get it? Oh, we don't need it. Oh, that's what you said. We don't need it. Okay, cool. Well, I got it anyway, but we don't need it. Okay, we don't need it. I mean, people like that, bro. I'm talking about like, man, I'm like, oh man, if you for me, we for each other. I'm going through everything behind you because this is what I'm going to die about. This is not, it's a difference between knowing and not knowing. Yeah, this is my way of life. You're not going to hinder that. I'm going to protect that regardless. So even, you know, I got the vinyl, I got the clothes for the government, seats, you know, high ranks. I mean, we can make our own material, our own government. You know, we can do this. Yeah, we can really actually really shine like we supposed to shine. You know, I got the whole blueprint. If you don't want to hear my idea, I'll let you hear the idea.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk. We'll build on
yeah,
that.
you know, we got our real, you know, you think these folks out here, they got uniforms. Nah, we're gonna have some real uniforms. They gonna wanna copy off of us. They gonna, yeah, real
Islam,
sharp.
Islam, Islam. We got a brother with his hands up, brother Amir. What's up, brother? You got something to say?
Yes. I just want to go back to the earlier conversation about, I think it was Brother Amaru, or was it Akeem, was saying about the Moorish Americans wearing the fez. This is just a food for thought. What would the policy enforcers or the colonizers do with someone that was impersonating actual FBI agent? Got the jacket, got the badge and everything. What would they do to them?
Throw the book at him.
Okay, that's the same thing that we got to do because they're impersonating somebody that they're not.
Right. They are that by consanguinity, but not that by political status, and everything in the physical manifestation of the world deals with political status. So that would be definitely an impersonation.
Not really. You can be a Moor and be in a jurisdiction of the United States and don't know it, and you can be a Moor and be in the jurisdiction of the United States and know it. At the same time, when you're involved with a state like AMPAG, you've already crossed over. So my thought is, if they need to prove it at some point, they would have to have a state ID. And if they're in our territory, it would have to be our state ID.
Correct.
So I don't think there's anything to worry about because, you know, they can be who they want to be. They're not really impersonating
anybody. Yeah, I would disagree because you know, there's a certain the fez and the turban is a national headdress. What would a Jew do to a Mexican who's running around with a yarmulke on his head? You know, you know, this is a national headdress. So that means then that you'd have to be a national, which means then if you're a subject pretending to be a national by wearing the national headdress, you are impersonating.
Oh, you're saying it's different. You're saying it's different than being from the bloodline. Then it's different than being more about bloodline.
Yeah, and there's also your allegiance, your oath and allegiance to.
Right. No, I'm asking. I know all that stuff. So I'm just saying. You're saying they're separate. So I'm asking. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. My answer. I thought I made that clear. One thing is your consanguinity. The other one is your political status. What we're talking about is political status, because political status is what determines what operates in the physical realm. Your consanguinity is spiritual, you know, but it needs to be transferred over into the physical realm by way of proper documentation, legal documentation.
Now I'm a little confused. Now with that example, I'm a little confused because I'm under the understanding that you're more by bloodline. Okay. Now, when you get into that spiritual stuff, I get a little confused about that. So you're more by bloodline. So that means you are more whether you wear a fez or not. So my question is, how is it if this person calls themselves a Moor and they're stateless, well, they're part of the jurisdiction of the United States, how is that impersonating a Moor if they're Moor by bloodline?
Is
it because of the national headdress? And you're saying if you're a Moor and you're not attached to a state, a Moorish government, then you're not authorized, you're not allowed to wear a fez. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because we're not saying that you're not a Moor. That's not the point. We know you're a Moor. What we're saying is that you're not a Moorish national. And that's a national headdress that Moorish nationals should be wearing. See, it's basically what I'm saying is that Moors wearing fezzes right now as Negroes, blacks, and coloreds, or Moorish Americans, they're not in their proper status to be wearing that fez. They shouldn't even be wearing the fez because it's a national headdress. Now we wear it because who's gonna stop us? It is our headdress. It's supposed to be our headdress. But once you now have a government in place that needs to distinguish himself from all the other subjects and citizens and foreign citizens, etc.
Yeah, but you know what gonna separate us from them is we gonna have our IDs. We gonna know who our people is because we are actually there. You know what I'm saying? We ain't really worrying about them. We ain't worrying about them.
It's pretty much.
But it's going to require more than IDs. It's going to require an oath and allegiance. It's going to require a census, and having our own databases, et cetera, et cetera.
But hold on, let me make.
If they try to lose us on paper, we gonna take them back on paper.
This is the thing. The state ID is cool, but there's such a thing as prima facie.
Mm-hmm.
So some 5-year-old white kid sees a melanated person approaching, he has to be able to identify, oh, he's a Moroccan or he's a black guy. If they're both wearing a fez, there's no distinguishment there. The state ID is a wonderful distinguishment. The problem with that is it doesn't give you prima facie. You'd have to present that to them. So what we have, the only thing else left to as our form of proper identification would be our fez. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel, and that again, that's me, and everything is up for debate and deliberation. I feel that there should be a line drawn between the subjects and the nationals. And if the subjects and the nationals are both wearing the headdress, there's no delineation or distinguishment in that, other than your emanating documents. But I want it to be from the perspective of prima facie, by way when you look at a Jew, you know he's a Jew because his yarmulke is on his head, right? You look at an Arab, you know he's an Arab because he's got his headdress on his head. You look at whoever an Indian, you know he's an Indian because he has a red dot on his forehead. You look at a Moroccan, you know he's a Moroccan because he's rocking a fez. Everyone else that look like the Moroccans, those are just black people. There's a it needs to be distinguished. That's just my position. Again, we can deliberate on that and make decisions based on our deliberation, but just on my personal perspective, I feel that that's the proper way to go.
And there are different status levels. There's just different status.
Right, it gives you your status. So when you're wearing a fez, that means now that when a cop pull you over, they know not to touch you because you're wearing a fez. That means you're a Moroccan and of a Moroccan government. You wearing a ball cap, you're a Negro or whatever. Hey, you might be subject to more scrutiny until you pull out your documents and see, because you could be a Moroccan national wearing a Yankee ball cap.
Yeah,
looking just like everybody else. But then, but at that point, that's where your state ID and your other documents differentiate you from everybody else. But you don't want to be the guy that the cops are calling each other saying, see, a cop is gonna say the subject is a black male with a Yankee ball cap on his head and a white t-shirt. We all look the same to them. How do we distinguish ourselves from everyone else? They see a Moroccan with a fez on his head and his garb on. They already know, not even looking that direction. They looking for a Negro with a ball cap on his head and a white t-shirt. It goes deeper than just the average person looking at us and distinguishing us from everyone else. It goes further into law enforcement and everything else. Whereas we want it to where when they look at us, they know that we're not the ones to be dealing with from that perspective. So if that's the case, then a Negro would have a get out of free card because all he got to do is wear a fez and commit crimes, and now they're not going to probably touch him because he's wearing a fez. See, it has to be identified. That's just my position, even based on the law enforcement level.
And your state ID is going to have to take care of that. Now, everybody has a right to claim their nationality. Now, they can claim their nationality without submitting to a Moroccan government. They can do that. And the reason they say they can do that because Moorish Americans have done that already. And they didn't know that they're Moorish American, that it's still within the United States jurisdiction.
Oh, you're saying
so they've done it already.
No, you can't. How can you claim a nationality without going through a government? That's totally against what we're doing. You got to go through a government you got to consent to a Moroccan government in order to claim a nationality. Anything else other than that is patently frivolous and arbitrary and capricious. That's what the Moorish Americans have been doing. That's the old paradigm, is claiming your nationality without a government. The proper paradigm.
I get your point.
Okay. Yeah.
Islam. So the whole issue with claiming a nationality is essentially just claiming your bloodline, your consanguinity, I believe they call it.
Right.
The people that you share a culture with, a bloodline with, right? And so it may not be. It's okay to have a nation because you can have a nation without having a government, right? But you
Right.
can't have a government without a nation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anybody with a nation can claim a nationality. They don't necessarily have to have a government because even with the um, I remember reading the prophet's literature. He said, if you do nothing else, declare your nationality or proclaim it. But also, even in the uh, United Nations Rights of Indigenous People, it talked about how it applies for both um, essentially groups of people and individuals, right? So if somebody wanted to,
Individuals, no,
technically,
no,
they
no. Hold
could
on.
exercise their
Let's
rights.
clarify that individuals of a state, not just an individual running around as an individual. You can't. An individual cannot enforce any form of international law. It has to be between states. It has to be between states. That's just the bottom line. So that has to be cleared up. Islam. Continue.
It's, so you for clarity, you're saying the reference to individuals in the declaration is specifically for states and not individual persons, like
Individuals.
actual natural people.
No, what I'm saying, no, what I'm saying is that when the reference of individuals is dealing with individuals of a state, not a stateless individual.
Got you. Okay.
Right. So like you and everyone on the line are individuals of AMPAG as human beings, natural breathing human persons. And it also refers to the human beings as human persons to differentiate from the corporation of a person. So it's definitely dealing with the individuals within a state. Otherwise, think of it this way. Otherwise, then that international document wouldn't be reserved for just states. And therefore, states between states disputes wouldn't be the case. We could do individual versus state disputes. But according to the Vienna Convention on the Laws of Treaties, it's between states. The Montevideo, between states. And all throughout the document, it keeps talking about states. So there's no way around the individual process versus the state process, especially as it relates to international law, which is the highest law of the land anyway, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to go back over it because based on my past interpretations, it was the declaration itself was essentially just a recognition of pre-existing indigenous rights, not that it confers or permits any, rights to individuals specifically of a state versus an individual who's indigenous. So I'd have to go over it again to make sure I got that right.
Islam, that's what we would. That's part of studying. But keep in mind too, also, if that was the case, then the individuals can petition the United Nations and then vote the rights of indigenous peoples. However, according to the Charter of the United Nations, the only entities that they deal with are states. So therefore, even an individual cannot approach the United Nations to then enforce the rights of indigenous peoples because the United Nations would reject them. Why? Because they're coming as individuals. They would have to come as a state to then invoke or stand their square on the rights of indigenous people or any other UN Charter document for that matter. So you can look at it from that perspective. But of course, I wouldn't discourage you from going back and doing your own due diligence on that matter.
Good explanation. And so all that's saying is that if you're not truly a national unless you get your nationality through a state. And if you don't get it through a state, then you're not authorized to wear that fez.
Period.
Because you're
I got you.
person.
I hear you now. I understand it. You won that one.
Islam on that. Islam.
You won on that one. Hey, y'all don't understand me and Isaac's relationship. That's an inside joke.
That's a side joke.
That shit goes way back to like, I don't know, April. Oh man. But yeah. So it's important to distinguish between a subject, a Negro, black, colored, and a Moroccan national of a state. You know, it's distinct. It's a serious distinguishment that's required because we are now at a higher status than everyone else on the land. And the other thing that it would do as well is it would motivate our people to choose between the submissions of the laws of the empire. I want a fast. I'm seeing that all these people with fezzes get to do whatever they want. Not that we do whatever we want. Obviously, it has to be under international law. Don't get me twisted. But we would have much more rights and protections than the average Negro, blacks, and coloreds. And they're going to want that. So they're going to want to wear the fez. It's going to make it more pristine. It's going to make it much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Prestigious. Because we are prestigious. But right now, look at what the brother just talked about. Another Moor in a fez who charged them X amount of dollars for a process that didn't work, and he stopped answering the phone. So wearing the fez right now is not even prestigious. It's a bad look, really. You know how bad we look out here in the world to these people, man? The Moors, Moorish Americans, these fez wearing, funny hat wearing guys that be basically cheating their own people.
That's similar to, you know, I mean, like, say for instance, you got people who pretend they're policy enforcers. You know, they go and get the uniform and they get a badge somewhere on the internet or something. They get a little book and they pull people over and get bribes and payoffs and things like that.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, talking about that, one of the brothers from USAR, United States of America Republic, the Moorish organization, is not really a government. He got pulled over by the police with 2 or 3 people in the car. One of them was his wife and 2 kids. They were acting belligerent, the children, and all this crazy stuff. But he was representing the law enforcement agency of USAR as a marshal. I think he was a marshal, and he was standing square on that. Well, long story short, and we went over this several months ago, they still locked him up. They towed the car, and one of the charges was impersonating an officer. That was one of the charges. So, because he was saying that he was claiming to be the marshal of the United States of America Republic. So the name of you see how that sounds? You know,
not a party to that. That's right.
And then if you're claiming to be a government, you can't. Why would you use the same name of the colonizers? And not only that, but then seek their charters and articles of incorporation.
Because a lot of Moors are still under the impression they're United States citizens. Or
right.
American citizens.
Actually, they're under the impression that the United States of America belongs to the Moors. That
yes.
The Moors wrote the Constitution.
Yeah, and the continent is actually America. Yes.
Right. But while at the same time talking about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which it throws me, because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship clearly states 2 different jurisdictions, Morocco and America.
Yeah.
So in America needed the protection. So why would you think that the United States of America is our government when we already had a government who offered the protection to the United States of America?
You see, the Kingdom of Morocco confuses people's minds when they're trying to figure all this out, right?
That's true.
It does. It confuses them, and that's why they believe, and they look at these old maps and stuff they see online, and they believe the continent is America. So that's why they say they are Moorish. They believe the country is Morocco and the landmass is America. That's why they say I'm American or I am Moorish America, because of the miseducation and conflicting information. It's not true.
While at the same time calling this Al-Maghrib Al-Aqsa, like Moors already know. Where do you think I learned that term from? Moors.
Yeah.
And Al-Maghrib Al-Aqsa means Morocco of the farthest west. Where and how did it turn into America?
Yeah.
It's Morocco. Morocco. You say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the videos from Tashariq Bey from the House of Consciousness with Sonnet and all that. It's an excuse me, it's an old video, and it's a good one. He was wearing like a brown uh 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 what's that fabric called? Not flannel. No, not fabric, but design. Flannel. It's like he had like a brown and cream flannel shirt on with a black fez on. He had the Moorish flag laying on the chair, and he had a screen in front of a huge screen next to him. He was breaking down some stuff, and he pointed to the flag with full confidence. This is Morocco, and that is the flag. This is what he said in that video, and I remember it because it floored me because I've never heard that before. And it's pretty famous. You'll see it on TikTok and stuff like that. But then turn around and say that this is America. I don't. It's either one of the other. It can't be Morocco and America. It can't be Moorish America. It can't be Moroccan America. The name of the treaty is the Moroccan American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And with a hyphen.
They again use that same concept. Same thing when they call Africa continent, knowing that there are many countries in Africa.
Right.
So that's what America, that's how they're using it.
That's how, yeah, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's throwing people. Brother Emmanuel, are you there? Did he get offline? I wanted to hear from him.
Islam, brother, I'm here.
Yeah, you are there. What's going on, Nabi?
Yeah, I'm listening to the conversation. I think that is a great legislation to write because it's a lot of confusion. Everybody wearing the fez. We don't want to start a trend. Next thing you know, they fezzing it up. You know, it's a lot of disrespect and defamation of character. They started with the mockery, with putting the fez on the monkey, and giving them pants, you know, of the sultan, you know, with the Moorish, with the Moroccan pants, So that was defamation of character of that, and they did that because we were stateless, so it was nothing we could do about that. So not only were we doing that to the Moors, the Shriners got to take that off as well.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Wonderful point. Excellent point.
Very, very good point. I like the way you put that. Yes.
Everybody, all the colors. You know,
so all of that, they got it. That's right. So I think that's a great thing to do. Because I told you, I seen the Shriner. He said to me, I said, peace, brother. He said, say less. I said, no, brother, say more. You know, that trend, you know, that trend that they throw out there with everything between slang it's all character defamation. You know, so it slides its way in there.
I told one of them, I said, hey, you like our swag, huh? He was like, he didn't say nothing. I said, you was like our swag.
They do. The whole world does.
You know, they stole out. Oh, come on.
So I think that's part of the reconstruction that we need to do because that's what we're getting ready to do. This is reconstruction. This is the crown. This is the time of Corona. The crown is being placed back on the moccasin.
I love the way
Islam, Moroccans, Islam.
Exactly. And we are the forerunners. We are living legends. We are living legends. This is historical. I mean, when was the last time you saw a so-called quote unquote black government that actually has legislation and laws in place? Crickets, exactly. Crickets, exactly. No less than 250 years. That's several lifetimes. That's several decades. That's several generations.
So that goes also for the fezzes that they wear in the movies, the fezzes that they wear, do subliminal messages, only to be seen by the nationals, back to on the crown where it belongs.
Exactly. Exactly. Same thing, you know, Flintstones. We can't show Flintstones no more because they be wearing the fez on there. you know, with the horn sticking out on the side because they go to the lodge so they can get civilized. They telling their own story in that cartoon.
On the mummy too.
Maybe
Yep.
we could leave it in the past, but going forward, leave it in the past so it'll be a reminder. Leave it in the past so it'll be a reminder for now, for when it's been seen and everything that you see from the past. Now they'll leave those as different relics and different pieces to be able to put certain puzzles back together. But then when they do see it in real lifetime, they'll see the Nationals with the headdress as it's supposed to be.
Exactly. It gives
Secret
more
Squirrel,
power.
Morocco mode.
What you say, brother?
Secret Squirrel in Morocco mode. That old cartoon.
So yeah, leave the past, leave the past, and leave the past. You can leave that alone. Don't make them
Do
take
we
off
have
the things
a
that.
Moorish holiday?
Do we have a Moorish holiday? Yeah. We could make May 29th. We can make July 16th.
Yeah,
May
we can make
29th
a
is when we have inauguration, and July 16th is when we first started the international law documents, and our ratified constitution was deposited and promulgated. So those are the dates. We'll have our own holiday. In fact, New Year's will be celebrated in accordance with nature, which is the 21st of March. You know, that could be a holiday. Yeah, we'll definitely have holidays. That's next to come. We definitely have a lot to celebrate. Especially the biggest holiday will be the day and the date that the International Court of Justice give their verdict. Obviously, will be in our favor when they give their verdict against the colonizers. That's going to be the biggest celebration. It will be celebrated every single year. That's going to be the holy day. Right? The day when the crown was finally placed back on the Moxie, you know?
Islam.
Oh yeah, I'm about to open your eyes up to some more. I got a whole lot. Yeah, it's coming together.
Oh, it's coming together, brother. We'll build further on all those ideas that you have. But I want to caution you on a few things. I heard you speak. Don't do these over here. All that old paradigm, all those old paradigm processes that you're used to, that you may have even been successful at. It has no place in the state government. We strictly deal with international law, Moorish treaties, and the protection under our flag and seal. So therefore, we have no need for any of these other laws, primarily because the treaty is supreme law of the land, which means it supersedes the law, USC code, their constitution, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're a fiction. And to utilize their processes is giving them the authority. It's recognizing them as the ultimate authority, and it's not at the end of the day, unless you have a trust and it's properly set up, you will still be encumbered and because at any moment they could always, like the UCCs, for example, it changed every 5 or 10 years. So if you don't keep up with it,
I'm having problems. You're hearing you with that noise in the back. All right.
Islam, good brother, appreciate that. Those laws, what I was saying is those laws don't have no place. You're under the proper protection, or you would be under the proper protection. I'm not sure if you've no, you haven't taken the oath.
That's why I brought that up previously, because that's an important factor.
Yeah, it is. No. I agree. It is. That's part of your emanating documents to show and prove your protection under a different state. In this case, the Moroccan state government. Those emanating documents are what? Your state ID, your oath of allegiance, your oath of office, your birth certificate, right? As well as the Constitution, your state ID, your state seal.
Yep.
You know, all that. That's the whole.
Your allegiance is key. You know, who do you stand with? Who are you? Whose back do you have? That's your allegiance.
And who has your back?
That's right.
That would be your state, and that's your oath of allegiance.
Yeah.
That's why we have to take the oath of allegiance very seriously, because that is nothing to take lightly,
Yeah.
you know?
No.
It really matters.
Yeah.
What we're doing here really matters, because what we're doing here is something that's never been done before, and we're following the instructions to the T. Like I've said previously, there's only one way to change your oil. There's only one way to change the brake. There's only one way to assemble a playground. There's only one way to assemble furniture. There's only one way to assemble a whole car. There's no several ways to skin a cat in these circumstances. You got to follow the strict sense of the instructions. Otherwise, you're headed for chaos. The end result is not going to be what you envisioned it to be. Right? And so, according to international law, the main thing that recognizes you as a state is a ratified, deposited, and promulgated constitution. Period. And 3 branches of government. Which then, through your 3 branches of government, the 3rd branch, the judicial branch, that's what activates what? Consular court. And in that way, and in that way only, can the laws of Morocco can be made enforceable against the United States and its citizen, as long as consular court jurisdiction is being exercised. I didn't say that. 15 judges said that, unanimously. Period. There's only one way to skin the cat, through consular court. How do you establish consular court? Through a state. How do you establish the state? Through your constitution. It's not really rocket science. It's just something that we're not used to. But it's not rocket science. You know, like, it didn't even cost us anything to establish the government. Right? So, you know, other than time and effort, but I'm speaking from a financial perspective. There's nothing to go buy. You put it together and you deposit it according to the instructions. And now you are a competent Moorish state government with full powers to enact laws and legislation, and also to invoke treaty protections. You can't approach the United Nations. You cannot approach the ICJ unless you come as a competent state. You can't do it as an individual. You can't do it as an organization. You can't do it as a temple. You can't do it as a gang. You can't do it as an association. You can't do it as a club. You can't do it as a secret society. There's only one way, as a state government. The ICJ, according to their statutes, they only adjudicate cases when there's a dispute between states. I can't take the United States to the ICJ. J. Jermaine Bey, for as brilliant as he is, he cannot take the United States to the ICJ by himself as an individual. Even worse, as an ipso jure Moorish subject. You a subject. You better sit your butt down somewhere, subject. That's how they gonna look at us. Where is your competent Moorish state with 3 branches of government and a ratified, deposited, and promulgated constitution? Where is it? If it doesn't exist, go back home, check the boxes, then come see me. That's just the bottom line. And that's why the rights of indigenous people, when it talks about individuals, is dealing with individuals of a state, not an individual that could just approach the United Nations and say, hey, listen, Article 6 of that document says that I have a right to a nationality. I want my nationality. Well, okay. You got to figure out I can't do nothing about your nationality.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
For you to get your nationality, you need a state government to concede to. So y'all gonna have to figure that part out.
You know when someone made the comment a while back about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm going to the UN, had they gone just to petition and say what they wanted to say, they would have been shot down. They would have been shot down. They would have been shot down. Yep.
What made them dangerous is because of El Malik Shabazz. When he went on his pilgrimage, he came across. See, remember, during this time, the Africans was forcing decolonization using the same documents that was coming out of the United Nations that we were asleep on because we had no idea about, because we were being drug around the country, marching and praying, instead of studying international law. So at the time, the Africans were studying international law, and they were coming across Resolution 1514, which is a decolonization document, and using it to decolonize their respective states. Malcolm came across people. They were going to put him on game about that, to then go to the United Nations.
I remember him going on there saying that he was going to take this case to the United Nations. I remember saying that. And I'm thinking, yep. He didn't say anything about nationality or nothing like that about us creating a state. So he would have been shot down had he done that.
Yeah, if he had went over there as an individual, he would have got shot down.
Right, because the United Nations, they're not going to get involved in domestic issues.
Right. But what I'm saying to you is that he made contact with the Africans who were establishing governments.
Right,
so
right.
He was being put on game about statehood.
About the statehood, yeah.
That's why he was bringing. That's how come him and Martin Luther King got cool, because he brought that.
Now, if he hadn't have said that, they probably would have found out some other kind of way. If he had not had gone publicly and say
exactly, and that's the point where I was circling back around to, is that he said too much without saying anything.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows you can't approach the United Nations without a state. So the colonizers, they thinking, oh, so you about to establish a state. Since you talk about United Nations, time to get rid of them. It was clues, but we didn't pick up on the clues because we don't have any idea about statehood and international law. And keep in mind too, by the way, during this time, guess what's in full swing? The Moorish Science Temple of America.
Yeah.
And if nobody else in the world, or at least in the Negro, Blacks, and Colored world, if nobody else know nothing about law and international law, there is no excuse for Moors. There's no excuse for Moors. You're supposed to know about international law because you are the lawgivers. Yeah. You are the A's and the L's.
Yep. But we had amnesia. We were in a state of amnesia.
No excuses. We weren't in a state of amnesia. We were placed in a state of amnesia by the leadership of the Moorish Science Temple of America and their COINTELPRO operations.
I was still ignorant to a whole lot because of my environment, of the school system, just all of that. I didn't know anything.
Makara, you're not hearing me. Yes, the NBC world was asleep, no doubt. What I'm saying to you is that the Moorish Science Temple of America was in full swing at the time. And if anybody should have known about international law, since your Bays and your L's and your givers of law and all that, it should have been the Moors. But the problem is that they were compromised by COINTELPRO operations. So the temple leadership put the Moors to sleep, which made matters even worse because NBCs were already asleep. See, in other words, if the Moors were doing what they were supposed to, this thing would have been solved a long time ago, right then in the 60s. In the 60s. Because that operation would have woken up all the Moors around Morocco who were asleep thinking that they were Negroes, Blacks, and Coloreds. That would have been big news. But they took the payout and they led us into a different direction. What direction? Muslims, singing Moorish gospels in the Moorish Science Temple Church. They brought us into church mode. And then not only that, but they also put us under the jurisdiction of the United States with things like
processes.
What they put I am a citizen of the USA on the back of the
back of the temple card. Yes,
right.
Yes,
that type of stuff. Put us into the mindset of believing that we were of the United States and that we were Americans.
Yes.
That was the operation.
That's true. That is true.
So instead of teaching us about international law, statehood treaties, which I know they knew about. They started teaching us about church and we're USA citizens and all these things.
Yep. When I was getting confused when I came into this movement and started learning more and more and learning about the history and all of that. And I'm thinking, okay, where's the remedy? And all of the remedies had to acquiesce to United States jurisdiction in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Every way possible. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, this don't make any sense if you're trying to say we're different, we're separate, and why am I always acquiescing to them? How is that making sense to me? I was so confused.
Exactly. So was I, and a lot of Moors are in this, but that's the it's the cause a state of confusion amongst the Moors. That's the operation. Go ahead, good brother.
Yeah, we all I know being in the temple. I seen a lot of that stuff too, man, and I got shut down when I started making political moves to the governor. I was told to slow down. So I knew something was up then. But I had to be cool and play my role and learn some things as well. And reading the Holy Quran, it tells you what Jesus was what he was trying to do. He was trying to redeem his people out from under the Roman yoke and law. And that's what we're doing, trying to get our people. You remember that case we put in the chat, John James Bay?
Rodney.
Yeah. It's one that
no. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
And he recognized that he was a Moor, but they stated what? He was a U.S. citizen.
Exactly.
And he's subject to all the laws, period.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, we got to come back to that Moroccan state of mind, a Moroccan state government, and under our own laws, not in somebody else's house. Well, we got to be on our own vine and fig tree.
And confess our own.
And every time must confess his own. So yeah, that's what we got.
And how do you confess your own? How do you confess your own? See if we can decipher that parable. Ooh. You confess your own by writing your own laws.
But the part where, you know what? That's another saying the prophet said: when the pen is in your hand, you write it down.
Mm-hmm. He also said not to walk around with nothing, not even a pocket knife.
That's right, right. And wow. I do have a nationality card where it wasn't that I'm a citizen of the U.S.A. on it. It wasn't even on there.
Mine has it on there.
Yeah, you got some people that's playing games and putting in COINTELPRO, putting stuff in, and that's why we can't be Barato Barabos. We can't believe what somebody else say. We must what? Look it up ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Check things out. That's scholarship. We got to doubt often what the wise man do. Doubt if ultimately changes his mind. A fool is obstinate and doubt if not, and knoweth all things but his own ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we must check things. We just can't believe what the Grand Sheik say.
Man knows not by being told. That's what the prophet said too.
That's right. So we got to be about what we know. We got to know thyself. And know that we are Moors nationals. We're Moors nationals, man.
That's why it's Islam. I, self-law, am master. The law starts with you. You are the law.
That's right.
And that's why the Moorish governments are even more powerful, because we are the law. So what happened? A bunch of lawgivers came together and enacted a constitution. You know how much power, how powerful that is? We ain't just anybody. We ain't no hybrids. We are the original people. Right. And regardless of the misconceptions that might be in the proclamations that's been proclaimed by some of these government officials, local government officials, the different proclamations that's on RB Bay publication, where they recognize us as the mothers and fathers of civilization, Aboriginal and indigenous to America, the Moorish Americans, etc. Well, we're Aboriginal and indigenous, but not to America, is to Morocco, and we're not Moorish Americans, we're Moroccans.
Right.
But they recognize that. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. So if the mothers and fathers of civilization come together to enact laws, come on, what else you want? That's the most powerful thing in the world, man.
Yes, it is. It's there.
And the law is being passed by matriarchs. That's the other powerful part.
Yes,
the
sir.
matriarchs are the ones who's writing the laws, and her sons are enforcing the laws.
Yep, that's in line with our ancestors, what they did.
Exactly. And that's how our Constitution is set up. 13 matriarchs. And she's not allowed to let any male in the council, period. But guess what? She can be the wazir. She can be the qazi. But no man can be no legislator.
Can't be part of the Del Aziz, huh?
Can't be a part of the Lil Aziz, so don't even think about it. That's reserved for the matriarchs. That's right. We got a lot of power, man. You know, when you recognize the power that France had when through the Treaty of Fez, and that was given to them. It wasn't based on consanguinity. It wasn't based on inheritance. It was a gift by the Sultan, which means there was a limit to that. And they caused the whole war based on that. They all wanted the pen because we're talking about 12 signatory powers. And they're going around punking everybody with the pen. You've seen how we went over the document with them coming over here, or not even came over here, but actually it was a correspondences between the Charge d'Affaires of France and the Secretary of State of the United States. It was like a whole year back and forth correspondences talking about us, the native Moors and the Muslim subjects and all the Moxons and the Moorish governments and extraterritorial jurisdiction, and you need to give it up, and the United States wanting to hold on to it. You know, we're standing on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Yeah, but we standing on the Treaty of Fez. You know, and they're just going back and forth. Ended up next thing you know, they facing each other at the ICJ over what? The pen that belongs to us. But the ICJ said that we was acquiescing, giving up the pen. So now that we picking up the pen, the pen belongs in our hands. Remember, we're the successors to the Sultan because the Sultan is now the king. There is no more sultans. There is no more diplomatic body in Tangier. Right. There's no more depository in Tangier or Madrid. This is a new day. This is a new era of time, like the prophet said. We fell asleep long enough, and during that nap, the world moved on. Things changed. Borders were created on our land. So when it's time now to come back, when we wake back up, we got to operate as things are now, as is. You can't operate as if it was still the 1700s and the 1600s. Those days are long gone. We got to operate as it is now. Because back in the 1600s, when we was running things, there was no League of Nations. There was no United Nations. We ran the whole world without any interruptions. There was no middleman nowhere. We was everything. Well, since we went to sleep, now we got middlemen and UNs and other nations and other races and other types of people that done took control of certain things. But when we come back, we'll have control back of everything. If we take back control of the United States, we basically took back control of the whole world, because taking back control of the United States is taking back control of what? Morocco. And Morocco is the world. We're just in the northwest section, Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa, of Morocco. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I didn't mean to take over the floor. I yield the floor.
That's why we can't hear you speaking at the thing like that.
I can't help it.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that. Hey, at least I'm conscious of it, and I shut up and gave back the floor to the participants and everybody else who got something to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What was
and
that?
if you think about it, the time is now because this is the age of Aquarius, the information age. We got the internet. It's no excuse. Period. No excuse.
None.
And they can't even hide the lies. They can try to muddle it by throwing a whole lot of half truths out there and have some of the masses going in all different directions. But we're following the yellow brick road. And as Jay Bay said, we got the answers to the test.
We got the answers
That's
to
what
the
we're
test.
gonna do. It's gonna
We got
follow it.
and who gave us the answers? The United Nations and all the other international law documents. It's right there. And that's why I'm telling the good brother Love Master. I love that name. Love Master Bay.
It's Prince Bay, but yeah, Love Master.
That's why I'm trying to impress upon you all the UCC stuff. Throw that out the window. Just forget all about
it. That's what I said. They said we don't need it, and I got rid of it. You know what I'm saying? But I still have it. But
well, that
it
can be
is with
correct.
the RV Bay publications.
Oh yeah, we know about RV Bay. I got my RV Bay ID and everything.
Yeah, and then Calvin Wakil Bay was teaching it. So
right.
That was in 2013, 2014. I've been going through the bulls since then.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about, and then they getting the IDs and the right to travel card and all of that, man. Got them folk
Student
going
ID.
to jail. Yeah, got them folk going to jail. And as soon as they go to jail behind it, it's like, they ain't nowhere to be found. You led your people astray, man.
That's why we got to distinguish between the feds and no feds, because we honorable over here. Only nobles are allowed to wear fezzes. When they look at you with a fez on your head, they gotta recognize you as a noble, right? Operating in the spirit of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Period.
Right. Yep. That's why my Instagram page says noble.
In the past, if you was to wear fez, when we were in control, there was a time that under Moroccan law that you would be decapitated. So that is the penalty with the Masonic with the cut line across the throat.
Yeah.
So if I had my fez on and I'm out there, and I used to have my fez in my 20s, man, going to courts, man, in Jersey, and when I had my fez, man, they would have a lot of them. They would sign me off, they'd be on their.
You went on mute, brother. You went on mute if you're talking. Brother M, you went on mute. I don't know what happened there. Well, he's right. That's another point. You would get decapitated if you were caught with a fez. At one
in the
point.
middle of talking.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Islam. He'll come back. I guess he's discussing
Islam,
something.
yeah. My daughter was calling me. It's my born day today. I turned 46.
Oh, Islam.
Yeah. Scorpio. Zebulon. The boat with the oars.
Islam. He said Zebulon. Yeah, that's one of the 12 tribes of the Hebrew Israelite that they claim Zebulon.
Yeah, but it's all codified. The boat with the oars is the scorpion legs. So a lot of times that's what you call the Department of Commerce.
Islam. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So every representation of those 12, every representation of the 12 signs is representation of the 12 cabinet officials that the president chooses. That the government is shadow government. It's shadowed off the real government.
That's exactly. That's the real term, the real understanding for what a shadow government is. The United States is a shadow government. There is no shadow government behind them. That's part of the other misconcept with this Illuminati thing going, running around rampant on social media and all these books and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You're so right, brother. That's why you're the IB.
Well,
Everybody,
Islam.
I told everybody that you were gonna lead the whole Stone Mountain trip. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful trip we're gonna take, y'all. Most people they've been up Stone Mountain, but hopefully the day is going to be good. But if anybody's in a physical condition, I'm not going to stress the walk up the mountain. It depends on the collective. I'm not going to stress to walk up the mountain, like, just like doing yoga. I'm not going to stress about bending your legs a certain way if you can't bend your legs and you don't have flexibility. It's more mental. It's more mental,
Oh, I go up there all the
So
time.
it's spirit. So I'm just saying for people I know that I can go up there. We go up there barefoot. That's the next thing. You ever been up barefoot? Anybody ever been up barefoot yet?
Ain't been up there, no barefoot.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done that. I took my son last time, man. But we went up there, red pill, blue pill, them brothers back in the day, man. Yeah, because I remember Brother Wakill. He used to be in Little 5 Points over there off of Euclid Little 5 Points. I remember Wakill and him coming out there with the nationality paperwork and all that, because we was a conscious, groups out there trying to do conscious things.
Right.
So yeah, I remember that, brother. I didn't go too far with him, man. But he did take some of that money. I did offer some of that money. Islam.
He took that money, boy.
Yeah.
So you want to go with red pill and blue pill when they go?
Oh yeah. We took them up there, man. We had a lecture. We brought Phil Valentine down, and we had brought Professor Griff, because he's in Atlanta, and another brother speaking about mound building and the grid lines, and understanding the grid lines and how they built. Just like if y'all understand Indian Creek is also a ley line of mounds. So when I moved back to Georgia, because I grew up down here, a lot of people don't know that because I moved to Jersey and Philly, so the language, the tongue that I, sounds like that I'm from up north. But I grew up down here in Atlanta and Athens, Georgia. So a lot of my elders are from here. So
The reason why red pill and blue pill moved here, because Mama Pill was already here, right?
yeah, because she lives actually where I grew up at, around the corner, not too far from Moreland Avenue. Because I grew up in Thomasville over there, Fulton County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, during that time of Atlanta's missing and murdered children, man. My cousin was the second victim. His name was Aaron Jackson.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So they got some nice venues that they didn't put up. I envision us probably eventually doing some things in their neck of the woods.
My family is Cavario out here.
Say it again.
Cavario.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we made a trip up Stone Mountain, I had to take their shoes and socks off because I'm so used to doing it. My grandparents, which my grandfather, he's Blackfoot Cherokee. He's full-blooded, and my grandmother's Creek. So I was raised by them. So I got pictures on top of Stone Mountain when I was 6, man. It's been a journey. It's a lot of mounds out there, and that's the golf courses.
You can see
the
everything
mounds.
when you get to the
Yeah,
top.
even hey, brother, even Little 5 Points over there in Euclid Avenue, where you used to go over there. If you ever been to Little 5 Points, if anybody's been there, that's also a grid line of mounds over there. So that's why when you go, you see the streets, you see Washita Street, you see Seminole Street, all of them are around the mound. And then you see the large Masonic, old Masonic, that they made some type of academy for the younger generation of, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it.
Next generation of colleges to carry on.
Yeah. Carry on, It's a lot of places. But Stone Mountain is definitely a very powerful grid line. And anytime you see anything that's projecting something that's negative, and they want to claim it and want to and put what you say carvings of things to make you have a hatred and have some type, there's always something powerful there. Anytime they go claim something and say this is what this is, and they try to preserve it, that's going back to your ancient ancestor. That's some, it's like a it's like a utla. It's like your pilgrimage, climbing up that
Mhm.
mountain, and people do it, but in a different state of mind. So it's a lot to it. Everybody got different ideas of what it is and what it's about, but what it does and what it is very powerful. That I do know. So it's a good way of going inside out and waking and spinning them chakras.
How you put it as a pilgrimage.
Yeah,
It's something.
utla. Yeah, Arabic utla. So it's a good pilgrimage. And when I used to walk with my grandmother, as we say, Big Mama, used to walk with Big Mama out there. She would tell me about her grandmother and her grandmother before her. You know, and they was walking out there, and it was woods. All of this stuff she would always tell me, as well as she explaining the herbs to eat. You know, so it's definitely consanguinity.
It definitely is. And to that, talk about the that they put on there to track you from your ancient artifacts, and all the different mounds in Atlanta. Man, there's a lot of buildings, um, ancient Habu buildings in Atlanta as well. And what they do with that is they'll put a placard on there saying things like built in 1865 or something to that effect. That's really the period in which they started taking over. But those buildings been there. And they'll, there's so many of them. Me and the Kazi was going to the office. There's many of them around the office. And there's a skyscraper that has pillars over at the top. I mean, it's a beautiful skyscraper, but it looks very Moorish. And I don't know if that's an ancient skyscraper or if it's a new one and they're replicating Moorish architecture with that building. But there's so many of them all around the city and definitely around the office. There's a Masonic temple out there with a huge statue of a Albion wearing a fez, holding a baby.
With the child in his hand, the Yadip Temple on Ponce de Leon.
That's it right there.
The Yadip Temple. That's right. And then you got a lot of the, like I said, the Fox Theater. If anybody's ever been to the Fox Theater, it's just Moorish architecture. It's an old Moorish castle.
Mm.
The Fox Theater is an old Moorish castle that used to be, basically they said that was one of the first buildings there, the oldest building there. And they try to, of course, do their little, hey, we established this in 18,
Right.
But it's right in front of your face. Yeah, if anybody's never looked at it, look up the Fox Theater.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and I haven't. I want to go around and see it. In fact, I'm probably gonna do a lot of driving around the city and find some things. I know I'll find a lot. Atlanta, it's a reason why you have that name, Atlanta. Why is it so close to Atlantis? There's something special about this part of Morocco. There's a lot of special parts to Morocco. I mean, Utah is very special and divine. It's all through the Bible. But there's something about Atlanta. This is where all the NBCs migrate to, and they're well-to-do NBCs, talented NBCs. And like you said, all these different mounds and buildings. There's something different. There's definitely something. Arabia Mountain. There's
That's another one.
Arabia Mountain.
Yeah, that's another good trip to take up there as well. And when you take these trips, like if you move with the esoteric level of spirit, you started picking up frequencies that speak on different elements, and you learn how to awaken those elements and those frequencies within even your own essence, with even your own vibrational frequency, and learn how to communicate, because it's just like the zodiac, but how the planets communicate within your makeup, your being, your blueprint.
Right.
Well, this area was Lower Egypt, wasn't it?
Was Atlanta, Lord, Kemet, Atlantis? I'm not sure. It's called so many different names. It's like the land of the frogs. You get so many different names. Atlantis, you get so many different names in different ways. But one thing I know it all comes down to: Morocco.
Yeah.
So, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm like, because I've been through the different cycles as well. Everybody's breaking down America, Almaru, and all that.
Right.
And it leaves you sometimes on a quest, and you just running around like a hamster on a wheel. And it's like It's just not, getting to the destination, Morocco. So I'm just keeping it simplified, Morocco. You know what I mean?
Morocco.
We the Tamarins. This is Cameron, and I remember that I read the Book of the Dead Sea Scroll, the Numa Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, all these ancient scripts, and all of these different, different scrolls and ancient, Morocco.
Right.
And
Right.
that's in the forefront.
And then
You
the
know, you
one
got theater in Detroit too. Detroit and Atlanta. I think some other place. Detroit is supposed to be special ground. A lot of Moors in Michigan.
Yeah, see, because if you ever read the Clock of Destiny, because I dealt with the Clock of Destiny, we came through that in Harlem, not Keene Bay. We had you have to understand that the Clock of Destiny talks about the 7 major cities. The 7 major cities, whoever rules the 7 major cities, like the North Gate, we call it. Whoever rules the 7 major cities rules the planet. And it's always been like that. There's something else going on with the grid lines here. And that's why this is the ancient land. So when you get into the Clock of Destiny, it starts talking about the cities, like you're saying, Detroit, Chicago, even
Missouri.
the grid lines in Jersey, New York, all these cities, how they were erected and why they erected, because that's why old cities are. If y'all remember reading about it's a new thing coming on, the Columbia Expedition. Everybody sees that, the Columbia Expo, the World Expos.
Yeah.
Seeing the World Expo buildings and old, like Tennessee, old pictures of Chicago, old pictures of all the ones they burnt down and destroyed.
Yep.
Okay, they were on the same grid lines. They just had to burn them down so they could build the other cities on top of it. So it's not, they didn't change the areas of the cities because they understood the grid lines. Like even if you see like antennas and power lines and you see the way that they're constructed, they're on grid lines. There's certain maps that we have to get.
And relearn the science of harnessing that power.
And that's where that free power and that free resource in the World Expo and how they learned. This is when Nikola Tesla, they got all this free range energy and understand how to get into this free range energy. And this is dealing with the 1800s. This is, like I said, we had a conversation. The first land patent purchase was July the 5th, 1776 was Paulsboro, New Jersey. They purchased land because in that land is oil. That's where Exxon and Mobil, and that's where the Delaware River is. So that was a great port. So I grew up in that area. So I found that area out because I was like, when you come across and see Paulsboro, New Jersey, it says the first land patent purchase, July the 5th, 1776. I was like, why did they purchase this? Because they had all the oil and the resources. That was their main thing. Get all the resources and get the land that had the resources. The certain areas that had the resources so they can build their economics. Because they was broke. They expatriated from Britain. They was broke. They had to come over here and steal.
Broke and stateless.
Broke and stateless. But they followed the,
they're still broke and stateless. They even and they made themselves even more stateless when they enacted the 1871 Act of Congress, because they turned everything into a corporation. So they're stateless and civil little more too. Dead on paper. Everybody.
Right.
White people, black people, everybody.
So that was, I used to wonder in school, they used to always talk about Moby Dick. They used to talk about the whale. And I was like, what was the significance of the whale? Because that was the transferring from going from taking our natural resources, because they was getting the oil from the whales, remember? So then they start getting the oil from the land. And this is all in the same time frame, from the 1700s, from the 1800s, when they stopped hunting the whales and they start getting the oil from the land.
Well, that was a wonderful history lesson. That's fascinating. Wow. Man. And there's so much.
Anybody been back?
Ready for you to establish these educational systems, brother. Glad to have you in AMPAG.
Islam, brothers, Islam sisters.
Man, listen, man. Haji, Isaac. Because see, me, Hajib, and Isaac, me, Amaru, and Isaac, we one of the original Moors, I guess you could say, that began the process of establishing the government. And from the very beginning, everything, I put it this way, we don't have no control. Nobody on this line has any control, any real control of the destiny of this state. This state is literally in the hands of the ancestors. It's obvious, just down to the fact that, you know, we got a good brother like you, who showed up to be the Nabi. And for those who don't know it, the Nabi is the head of spiritual education and sciences. And as you hear the brother speak, I think he holds that position well. It's perfect for him. But where did he come from? How he just show up? Like the good brother Love Master, he showed up. He just, where he come from? I don't know where he come from, but I'm glad to have him here because I'm listening to him speak, and I'm like, wow, you got some competent, intelligent Moors here that just keep popping up. That ain't got nothing to do with us. That's the ancestors. Just wanted to make that point clear.
Islam.
Because I know nothing's new under the sun. I don't feel a new presence. I don't feel new presences in life. I feel familiar spirits in every walk of life.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure y'all, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what I'm speaking of. You're not running into new spirits anymore. Those times are old. We're incarnate spirits. We're incarnate spirits, not from the rock, but incarnate from our ancestors.
Right.
And so our ancestors are with us in every step that we take. So we're a culmination of your ancestors. You are everything that they were and everything that they are. It's all composed in the body that you are in, that made you today. So it's
Islam. You got a lot of work to do, brother. You got some curriculums to put together.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Get us right, you know, because the spiritual component of this movement is just as important as the political aspect. They go hand in hand. It's like two sides to a coin, you know, the square and the compass, right? The compass represents the spiritual aspect of this. The square represents the physical manifestation of the spiritual aspect. And then you have your G, government. You know, you might say God, you might say geometry, but I say government because that's what it's based on. You know, it's all based in the zodiac. You know, whether we understand it or not, whether we recognize it or not, it's still based in the zodiac. The zodiac is the foundation. The zodiac is the compass, and then it's carried out in the spiritual realm through the square, because the square gives you boundaries and order, right? And that's what government does, is give you boundaries, law, and order.
Islam.
You know, which represents the male. The compass represents the female, the lawgiver. You know, that's why we have mothers as the legislative branch, because they are the lawgivers. You know, and we enforce the law as the square. You know, justice, law, and order. It's deep, brothers, and what we got going on here as a state, man, it's beautiful. How every day I marvel myself at what's going on, the good and the bad, because we had some bad things that took place within the state, but that got cleared up pretty quickly and easily. The journey wasn't easy, but it got settled nonetheless, and the ancestors is who took care of all that, you know. And in that process, it made us much more competent. It made it to where we now know about doing things by the strict sense of law, of the law, in this case, the Constitution, investigation, due process. These things are necessary when you're trying to organize a chaos within the government. And it's going to continue to happen because it is organized chaos. But that's why it's so important that we went through this ordeal, because it made us competent for the next situation. We got some stuff on paper now to be able to deal with these matters in a more efficient way. The good news, however, is that based on the people that's here, I don't foresee anything crazy taking place with us, especially not the elected officials, who are much more difficult to remove, because that's where you must undertake due process and investigations and stuff, and it takes time. Whereas an appointed official can just be removed. That's much easier to deal with. Keeping in mind that we are not the enemy. The enemy is the colonizers, and no one is here to be removed. You know, that's not a thing. That's far beyond my mind, and I think that's far beyond everyone's mind. The only thing that we're focused on, the only thing that we see at the horizon is decolonization. That's all I care about. That's what it's all about: decolonization, demilitarization, taking back control of the system, and taking back control of our governments, taking back control of the colonizers, because they are just wild. You know, going to and fro, devouring nations in our absence, using the Act of Algeciras, by the way. so they're doing things according to law, because the Moxon is asleep, and the Sharifian authority is not available to hold them accountable. No one else can hold them accountable except us. And the time has come, y'all. And that's why we're here together, exercising our rights to self-determination and to establish a state government, to then establish our the restoration of our estate, not reparations. And even if they were to give us reparations, you can't give reparations to a bunch of it goes to the government. So when Vietnam got their reparations, the people didn't get it. Like, no individual got it. The government got the check. The Korean reparations, the government got the check. Any and all reparations that's ever taken place in the history of the United States, where they had to pay something to someone, it was always to their government. So what government would the check go to for Black people? That's why we ain't ever got reparations. And reparations don't even apply to us. What would apply to us is restoration. We got to restore the empire. So I get carried away from time to time. I yield the floor.
And when they talk about reparations, when they do, it's a distraction.
Yeah. Because you can't give it to Black people. And even if they did give it to Black people, do you understand the chaos? They'll give it all back. They'll give it all back. Everybody will have a Lamborghini and be broke the next couple of weeks. We appreciate you, good brother, Emmanuel, man.
Islam, brother, Islam.
Sunday we'll be having, quick announcement Sunday, for those who may not have known, Sunday we'll be having a picture taking day. If you already got pictures, I guess you don't necessarily have to show up. But if you're going to be taking your oath, then you must show up, because that's also the time that we'll be taking our oath, whether it's the oath of office or the oath of allegiance, or both. So that would be this Sunday. What time is it, Hajib? At 10 or 11? Or Isaac, or whoever that might know.
I didn't see the announcement yet.
No, it's at 10. 10 in the morning. 10 to 12.
Okay. 10 a.m. to 12. Sunday. So I expect and hope to see everyone there. I mean, you don't have to take the oath or anything to, show up. Even if you got everything, even if you don't have anything to do that day, just still show up. It's an opportunity for us to congregate because we don't get a chance to do that, and I think that's very important. When the colonizers were establishing their states back in the days, they were sitting around bonfires, right? Well, we need to be sitting around our own bonfires in the flesh and not allow technology to interfere with our presence, or at least not forever or all the time. We got to find time for the physical encounter. There's an energy. There's an opportunity to harness positive energy from those activities. So I would ask and encourage any and all who may or may not be doing something that particular day, show up anyway. Islam.
I'm excited. I'm gonna be out.
Well, I'm excited too.
So Islam, y'all, excuse me, brother Wazir, State Family. I wanted to see if anybody had any type of on the way, like I said, climbing up the mountain. I didn't want to put any strenuous strain on people to climb up a mountain. Not everybody is in the same physical state to do certain things, and I don't want to put that stress on anyone. So it's just for the people that's going to be climbing, or should it be an exercise that is something that everybody can deal with? So, because you got the bottom part of the mountain on Piedmont. So just being on the Piedmont Rock itself, it could be those who want to climb and those who want to stay at the bottom, or it's, I guess it's a choice to make in the future. But like I said, I don't want to put strain and do something like that to put strain on somebody who wants to be a part of something to spiritual, that we can do something and, it's too much on them.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I know I could probably I'm pretty sure I could do it, but
right.
Would you say
I don't want to speak for everybody.
Exactly. Would you say that it would to be on the safe side, we just do it at the bottom of the mountain, or?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And if everybody's in, saying, oh, okay, we can climb up okay, we can do that then, but I don't want to put any pressure.
How much of a walk up the mountain is it? What does that look like?
Well, it's pretty easy going in the middle, but when you get to a certain part, the incline gets a little bit somebody could be scared of heights. Not everybody's on the high level that, I did construction, man, 40 stories up, 50, 60 stories up, so it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? But some people are not height friendly.
Yeah, I'm not height friendly at all. Hell no.
So you get up there and you get the knees shaking, that you want to see that, but it's an awesome accomplishment. It's an awesome accomplishment if you've never done it before. So sometimes you got to push yourself to that limit.
Yeah, that's true.
Gonna make your son.
What was that?
I was being funny. Make him sign a waiver.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, harmless.
But then also you got an incline. We got also the incline. So if that option comes up for those who want to walk, we walk up, and those who want to get on the incline machine can get on the incline machine and go up like that and just meet us up there. That could be another option.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
So they can still get up to the top. They just have to get on the machine to go up.
But that
on
trolley,
you
gotta pay for that trolley though, don't you?
You gotta do what?
That trolley to go up, you gotta pay for that.
Yeah, you gotta pay. You gotta also pay to go into Stone Mountain. I'm not too far from there, so I have a yearly pass.
Yeah, me too.
But beyond all of that, I mean, soon as nationals, we won't even need that.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. They charging us to go see our ancestors. Man, come on, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm sick about. I'm sick of that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Oh, oh man, it's ooh, that drives me crazy. That kind of stuff, man. It's like, are you serious right now? You charging me to go see my ancestral grounds, man? If you don't get out my way,
Yeah, I mean, Philly's another good place. When we went to Philly, like I told you, we was with Queen Valhara, and we was at the
oh,
art museum in Philly, and we went underground to the where they keep all the Moorish architectures and the Moorish all this different art stuff in the basement, all the stuff. We like, wow. But you know, we got through a lot of things, man. Certain keys, they see you got certain keys, they open up. Sometimes they would open up certain keys and say, okay, we'll show you this. We'll show you a little bit of this.
right,
But they have the real keys to be a state. They show it to me. Give it to me. Let me see it now.
right,
So,
and that's so we need to enact laws to be able to access without any type of payment. Are you crazy? I'm not paying you to. There you go. Enact legislation.
that's right. These are these
That's what,
museums as well. That's what the information, a lot of museums, these artifacts, you're trying to see what you got in the basement. Like we was in Philly
right,
and on South Street. If
right.
anybody's ever been to Philly on South Street, they have a crystal place. What's it called? Crystal Blue. Can't remember. I'm trying to not mix it up with Atlanta. Been down here for a little while, but it was on South Street. And we went down to the basement, and it was a cousin of mine. We had fezzes on. And they let us in the basement, like, hey, you know, go to the basement. We were like, to the basement? Nobody goes to the basement. They got all these people upstairs. This is downtown Philly. So we go down to the basement. They got crystals down there, big as cars, sitting in the basement, a line downstairs, man. And you know, I'm sitting there. We had our back turned, and this Caucasian looking, I don't know what he was, long white beard, looked like he came off a science fiction movie, just with this white garb on, looked like he was floating, just come over there just out of nowhere, just started talking to us like, you know, because they looking at us like we Moors. They trying to figure out what we know.
Hey, you
Right.
know, a lot of people walk down from, you know, where them tracks is, and they just walk over there for free. You know, they just be paying for parking and stuff over there. But you're gonna see a
Yeah,
lot
so
of people
yeah,
walking up there for free. They, you know, they jog, they run, they exercise every day. You got everybody, a lot of people stay around there.
right, right. So it's $20 to get into Stone Mountain. So it's just $20, but it's $40 for a yearly pass. But like I said, when we the national card, that's it. You pay for
Mm.
nothing. This is Morocco. So,
Exactly.
you know, I don't know if we have to react legislation for that. I would like to see because that's going to be a good exercise for me.
Yeah,
Because I don't plan on renewing that ticket.
right. Yeah, that would require legislation. Everything for us to we got to undo a lot that will legislation.
Okay.
Undo it legislation. So you could enact that legislation. You know, since it's close to home and dear to your heart. Not to say that it's not legislation for that, but we'll discuss that later. You know, show you some tips and tricks on how to enact legislation. Where we're just getting good at that, and that's beautiful, actually. Being able to enact, like whenever there's a concern, that's what you do, right? Legislation to deal with that concern, the solutions to that concern. That's your legislation. You know.
Islam. So regarding legislation and other things, I just sent off an email to all government officials, so you should be getting that soon. It contains all the documents that AMPAG's Acting Hajib sent me from today's meeting.
Islam.
Islam.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Oh, I can't wait to take a look at that. Yeah, man, we making beautiful moves, and it's very. We got to be proud of ourselves for what we're doing. Don't take what we're doing lightly at all. You know, we're still checking boxes. We're a young nation going through our various stages of advancement. We still checking boxes, but don't get it twisted. We got full powers, and we've got more authority than the corporate state of Georgia. You know, all the officials of this government are their equivalent are uh, officials of the United States, meaning that we supersede Governor Kemp, Secretary this, whoever, whatever of the state of Georgia. The Nabi supersedes the Secretary of Education. This is where we're at with this. So let's not take this lightly. Let's not take it for granted just because we're still working our jobs and we haven't fully accessed our estate. It's coming. It's coming. So we got to be patient and just keep working and checking these boxes. Islam.
Islam.
This was a great discussion. Great meeting. We'll be having these every Wednesday. Friends, family, whoever, open forum meeting, just discussing, just from discussion, questions, answers in regards to the state. Love Master. Love Master. Do you have any questions in regards to what we're doing, the state, anything of that nature?
Oh, I'm straight, y'all straightforward, boy. Y'all got it together.
Islam. We ain't got it fully together. We working on it.
Oh yeah, it's greatness and it's greater every day. Get greater every day.
Right. That's the key. Stay consistent and stay checking these boxes.
Right.
Let me see something here. It's just a story.
Anybody come up with like you see, I have say like when they violate their contract or they violate their oath of office, and I have a fee of like if they ask me for anything that they ain't supposed to be asking me for, it's a fee. I have a lot of that. Just in case if they violate your rights and everything, they gotta award you certain amount of money and everything.
Oh,
So
yeah, you got a legislation dealing with that. Keep in mind that what happened prior to and after your allegiance to the state are two separate things, right? So what happened prior is what happened prior, but going forward as a state national, you we've got it we've got legislation in place charging them for the time that we've been detained, etc., which we don't expect for any of that to happen in the first place because you're now a national. It happened. We do have legislation in place to deal with that accordingly. Yep, we sure do.
Okay, that's what's up.
And just for clarification, the screenshot that's in the email that I sent off, that's regarding the suggested procedure for legislation submission and handling. That way, every step of the way from creation to implementation into the law, everything is done in an efficient way where everybody's held accountable and documents don't get stagnated and nobody can access them.
Islam. Along with that, Jay was mentioning something about a location where it would be accessible to all nationals. Is that a thing that?
Yeah. So currently, AMPAG is utilizing Google Drive. However, we can do the same, or we can utilize the website.
Right.
Yeah, there's a way to set up a file management system where everyone can have access to it. Yeah, I'll talk to you more about that soon.
Islam. Well, the way we have it currently displayed on the website, wouldn't that is that not sufficient or?
No, not for day-to-day management of documents. Everyone won't have access to that. Only those who have access to the back end can
That's right.
manage the files. But yeah.
Okay. Good. The story has some announcements. Saying that the last call for new state national applications, the deadline is October 31st. The next intake will be December 4th, 2022. So the deadline for applications will be on the 31st of October. No one else we won't be accepting anyone else after that date until December 4th. It's kind of getting out of hand. And it's a good thing, but
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, yeah, you gotta be ready for this because it's gonna
yeah,
happen abundantly, especially my ancestors. When I say things, a lot of things come abundantly. So
right. So we gotta catch up basically before we continue on moving forward. Even though I'm pushing, she's fighting me with this, but I'm like, well, we could do that with the men, but can we at least have any that come in? Shoot, man, we need more mothers. It's unbalanced. There's too many males, not enough mothers, especially for the Lil Aziz. We want to grow the council. Printing costs. She had 3 announcements. Printing costs for a completed nationality package would be $30. So you give $30, and that covers the printing for all the documents, which is a good bit of them.
okay, who I send the 30 to?
Uh, I'll tell you about that when we get off.
Okay.
And what is included? It's what we call a Circle 7 of facts, which is the state of facts or the document of that represents your state, that identifies your state, that proves the existence of your state. That would be the state of the Moorish flag, our state ID, the state seal, the Constitution, your oath of office and or allegiance, or should I say your oath of allegiance and or of office, as well as a declaration of statehood or a declaration of independence document or letter or correspondence that we shared with the United Nations, the United States, and the state of Georgia. In fact, the entire package was shared with them. So you'll have that exact same package in your possession with your name on it, as one of the set of documents that show and prove the existence of your state and your allegiance to that state. The other thing that's involved, the other set of documents that comes with the paperwork is your state ID, your Lodial certificate of live birth, and that's if you're a national. If you're an official of the state, along with those same documents, you would also receive your diplomatic card, right, which tells it showcases your position as well as your term limit, and your election or appointment date, as well as some verbiage in the back dealing with the Vienna Convention on diplomatic immunities and privileges and immunities. We're invoking certain articles on that ID that gives you immunities, additional immunities than what the nationals may have, because you're an official of the state. Also, with that comes a diplomatic bag or diplomatic tag. Well, it's called a diplomatic bag, but it's a tag that goes on your bag, your carry-on. But it's not limited to the carry-on. You can, a diplomatic bag can go on a on a shopping crate, on anything. So you will showcase that in your conveyance. It also outlines your position, your name, and it gives you immunities from searches and seizures of your vehicle or your bag or your carry-on or whatever you may have. And it also gives you immunity from arrest and detention because you're the carrier of the diplomatic bag. So you will also receive that. And I think that's it. So your state ID, your government official documents for your immunities, as well as your loyal certificate of live birth and the Circle 7 of facts that I just mentioned. So that's a lot of printing. That's why it's $30, because we got to print a lot of documents and give to you. And the suggestion is that you make copies and keep one on your person and then the other one at the house. So okay, so that's that for that announcement. And then it says remind all to take part in the poll for public event on the onboarding telegram. Well, that's a little bit different, I guess. Damn, okay, I misunderstood that. I guess I was supposed to put that on the telegram on her behalf. So but I could take a poll now
No,
for those who are.
It's already on the Telegram. People just gotta vote. It's already posted.
It is posted. I thought so. It is posted with a yes and a no or something like that. Okay. I'll leave that there. So those are the two main announcements. I suppose the deadline is October 31st for any further intake. Start back up on December 4th, and the printing cost for the completed nationality packet is $30, and you can submit that. But you still got to wait a little while, probably another week or two, because certain things got to get put in place. One of which is the state ID. You have to mail in or take the pictures on Sunday for your state ID. You need the pictures for your state ID, and a few things need to be ironed out, and then we'll be ready to go. So, but it doesn't mean that you have to hold up on your $30, because it's coming in the next week or so. So that's that for the announcements. I yield the floor.
I wonder how many years from today it has been. And since this is the first time that this ever didn't happen in life, how many years is that?
Well,
Is it
it's
over 400 years?
I wouldn't say 400. I wouldn't say that put us at the 1600s. So, but it's hard to identify an exact number. But I would say starting with sometime in the 1800s, in the 1700s. So I would say 300 solid years. Could we push 400? Probably. But 3, 2, 3, 4. That's
I'm thinking it's almost 4.
That's a couple centuries that we've been out of power. And here we back again.
Back again in power. We got to stay in power.
Well, we will stay in power. We also got to keep in mind this is where the history of who we are is very important, because we need to, in the history of how all this came to be, because part of the history deals with our issues, right? We are the original slave masters, right? We are the original colonists or colonizers. There's nothing that they are doing that they didn't learn from us, right? We had them in bondage. We had them in slavery, and for much longer, and probably much more cruel than they've treated us. So why am I saying that? Well, because we have to remember that when it comes time now to engage in friendly negotiations with them and operate in the spirit of love and not hate, because at the end of the day, you did it to them first, they did it back to you. Let bygones be bygones. We're even. We'll move on with the treaty of peace and friendship.
Right.
The other reason for me mentioning that is based on what you said, good brother. And the only way for us to maintain our power is to learn from the past. And we can't no longer fall from the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Falling from those principles causes falling for people.
Right.
Right. And so we have to respect those principles, and we have to respect humanity. We have to respect human rights on all levels. And if we do that, we'll be able to maintain our power for the rest of the rest of time.
We stay on the 5. We stay on that 5. We're gonna be all right.
We stay on that 5. We're gonna be all right. Exactly.
Yeah, because that's like the Jesus being tempted by the devil in the Bible, and he didn't say disappear or become nothingness or evaporate. He said get on the other side of me. So people got to remember that the other side of good is bad. So no matter what the colorable situation may be, it's always going to be dealing with the lower self first.
Islam. And you must slay the lower self and emerge into your higher self. That's really the principle behind turning water to wine that they were talking about with Jesus. Is raising up from the lower self to the higher self. The higher self is wine. It's the fine wine.
Right.
It's the workshop of the mind. Inner alchemy. These are alchemical principles. Because we're the alchemists. You can even spell alchemy without al. There's a lot of stuff you can't say. You can't even say alcohol, algebra, almanac. There's a lot of Arabic type terms.
Yeah, it's a lot of L.
Yeah, there's a lot of Al's and Ali's and all types of stuff. So you can't even spell Tallahassee without Allah. Alamo, Alaska. It's in the names. It's in the names. Alabama is Alibamu. It's in the names. You say you from New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans. That's on the 15th ward.
Fisher Project.
Yeah, Fisher Project. Yep, I went to Old Perry Walker.
Man, yeah.
I went to I went to Landry too. Landry across the street from Fisher.
Hey, man. So you know what it is.
Yeah, I know. New Orleans went, and this is the 90s, bro.
Yeah, man, you got the best time, man.
Best time, boy. That's the most dangerous time, boy. You couldn't walk around with no days.
See what I'm saying? See, the different people, like where you from, like it's like it was the best times for me.
Well, it was good times though. Don't get me wrong. It was good times. It was just dangerous, but it was still good if you knew how to stay out of the danger. But New Orleans, that was the murder capital of the world at the time, the Crescent City.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that was different.
It's all French, and that shows the French conquest. You can see it clearly in New Orleans. French, etc. And that was the French Moors, by the way. Not no colonized, not no Caucasian or Albayan. It was the French Moors. Ignatius Loyola was a Moor, and they got a whole university named after him down there. It's funny you coming online. There's another brother. He's the Qadi. His name is Tyree Bey. He's also from New Orleans. So y'all need to get to know each other.
Man, Lord, that's what's up.
You got two New Orleanians in this joint.
I get to see my home team, man. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, you got the home team here. You got the home team here. You know what I'm saying? Jendergaard Highway. That's what Old Perry Walker was sitting right there on Old Perry Walker. Claiborne Avenue. Oh Lord, boy, you could not go through Claiborne after 10 o'clock at night. It's over. You're getting snatched up. It's New Orleans was bad.
That's the only most like that's really the only place you can go to really see their history. Like the Indians, the French,
All in New Orleans.
You know, the
It's a lot
plantation.
in New Orleans.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah.
Oh man, it's a lot in New Orleans, man. The Mississippi River, that right? I mean, it was dredged out by Moors. Like,
Yeah, that's the
Right.
Nile River. That's
used to
the
be.
Nile River.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
another example of the Nile.
that's the Nile. That was connected
Yep.
to the Nile.
The ferry, all that.
Yeah, the ferry. Yep, yep. All that was old Moorish architecture and engineering. The
Yeah.
bridge, all that stuff, man. New Orleans is Moorish as hell. If you go down there, you can see all that stuff. But that's all over the place though, and that's the thing. When you're an NBC and you don't know your heritage and your culture and your identity, you won't recognize it when you look at it. They did a good job with us. They did an excellent job with us in putting us to sleep. Oh, we don't see these buildings
Right.
as our, and they're our built. This is we don't recognize none of our stuff. That's due to the heavy miseducation and indoctrination with the whole roots coming from Africa. We're from Africa. Kunta Kinte versus Toby. You know what I'm saying? Amos Todd.
Yeah, that's just crazy how they just made this man try to force this man to say something that he ain't. And that's what they did to all of us. But they did it through schooling. You know what I'm saying? And it's just
Yep.
sad because the anger, you have to keep your composure, boy. You will lose it. I'm talking about to a point where when they know you know, oh man. That's
Yeah.
a hurt feeling, bro. Because we went through so much behind these people, man. You know what I'm saying? All the struggles. Just to sit there and be like, think about it. Just to sit there and be like, oh, we passed a bill for trillions of dollars. You passed a bill for trillions. Where you get it from? It's just money? Hold up. Well, why everybody struggling? Can we all have some of it then?
Right.
Wow. Really? See what I'm saying? And then when you wake up out of it, you're gonna have your own people sitting right on side of them like, why you looking at them? Even in the courtroom. You see them right there. They know you know. They say, you gonna take this charge? They gonna look dead at you and be like, you wanna take yeah, the judge will tell you before you even take time. You know you waiving your right. They'll tell you about 2-3 times before you even do it. Now you know you're waiving your right to. They're telling you this.
Mm-hmm.
You sit here and say, yeah, I'll waive my right. I'm gonna waive it. They tried to extradite me so bad a long, long time ago. I would not waive my right. You don't have the jurisdiction to. I'm not giving them jurisdiction to, and that's
Well,
that.
that's why I gotta correct you, good brother. That's the misunderstanding. They do have the jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction over criminal and civil uh, jurisdiction over Moorish subjects. They don't over nationals, and
Right,
that's one.
right. That's what I was saying.
And that's one of the misunderstandings as to why so many Moors are getting caught up because they're going in there saying you have no jurisdiction over me, but yet I'm standing my square as a Moorish American and I'm
Ipso
using their
jure.
laws. Huh?
Ipso jure.
Ipso jure. And then I'm using their laws to defend that point, which is contradicted.
And that's why they allow so many people to get off under that to keep it going.
Certain people, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Certain people with certain names, because those peoples with those certain names are leading the rest of the Moors down the wrong path and charging them to do so. So they let a lot of these characters continue on with their
You
BS
know,
because it's them.
it's funny you mentioned that because years ago, I remember a particular Moor who used to teach on YouTube about how to do X, Y, and Z. Um, and earlier, I believe it was Brother Watson, that mentioned something about going too fast. Someone mentioned that, and it reminded me of this particular Moore because he was talking about this FBI agent that was a part of his little group, and he said that that FBI agent told him to slow down because he's moving too fast. That's what the FBI agent said that the FBI told him to tell the guy. You feel me?
Wow.
Now, of course, fast forward a couple of years later, that same Moore got slapped upside his head and was stuck in jail for a while. But yeah, funny how that turned out.
Yeah. Yep. They let you go and they let you go they don't let you go no more. Why?
So it's all traps, man. There's a whole lot of traps they got set up for Moors.
Yeah.
You know,
that brings me to
let a few small fries go in order to get more people misguided so they could end up in the trap as well.
Yeah. And you know what they did that on a bigger scale is when you look back in the Reagan era when they had all of these drug dealers, they would take the poorest ones in the neighborhood who were pretty smart, and they make them a drug kingpin. They'd be fashion and be just diamond out and gold and all of this lifestyle, alluring the young brothers, right? At the same time, decimating the entire community. Soon as the community is decimated and they're just done in, then they arrest the brother. Then they do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again.
That's how Freeway Ricky Ross came
That's
to
right.
be.
That's right. That's how they all came to be. And when you look at all of those movies, you'll see the same exact pattern.
Yep. It's the same
Islam in that. Islam. You say you gotta live in the light. You gotta say, we say peace and light, peace and love. It said we gotta be in the light. We was taught that. Can't be in the darkness. And I remember them long lines in Jersey, and they were like, "Hey, okay, get your nationality." You had brothers in lines. Yeah, man, I can't wait, man, so I could do this and do. It was just the intent and the spirit.
Right. Right. It's always based on intent in your spirit.
Man, when you know you self-Lord and master, man, you gotta know how to master yourself.
Right. You start yourself first. That's right.
And part of that deals
government
with
perspective.
Go ahead, brother. What you say?
Yeah, I was gonna say from a government perspective, those traps that the Europeans set might not be such a bad thing. You know what I mean? Because it will help us
sharpen
weed out the Moors that are only in this for personal gain. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Great point. Because really, at the end of the day, you can choose to look at things in a negative light, or you can choose to look at things in a positive light. And if you apply light to what the colonizers have done over this period of time, it really did nothing else other than help us. We just don't see it that way because on the surface, it hurts us. But when you understand statehood, man, everything they did was into our favor. It was all to our favor. Almost everything. The straw man was to our favor. I mean,
that's what the prophets said.
And you say that
they're building.
Go ahead.
No. I was saying that's what the prophet said because everything that the Europeans build in to use against us is going to be used for us. Yeah. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. And you see how it's ending up, how the empire came back to our hands.
Right.
You know, it's I see it.
Yeah. The empire, because it even includes the sultan stepping down to become the king. What did that do? Left the empire wide open. Wide open.
For the true Moroccans to step up.
True Moroccans to come in and establish. Everything is divine. Everything is divine. We cannot take that like any of those principles. The ancestors is in charge.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, think about that quote. I am going to leave the Europeans here long enough to keep together. Oh, hold up. Whoa. What do you mean I'm going to leave the Europeans here? You see what I'm saying? Like, he even said that I'll be going into the spirit realm to deal with this matter in a better way. I'm paraphrasing. That's powerful. Because what's the opposite? So that what are you saying, Prophet? That you could just remove them? But instead of removing them, I'm gonna leave them here long enough to try to run. That's a powerful statement when you look at it from that perspective. And keep in mind, he's not as the prophet. Obviously, he's not operating alone. We're looking at that same perspective.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. There's a lot of wind or
Yeah,
something. What did you say about? You said that obviously the prophet what?
Obviously, the prophet had backings from the ancestors.
Oh,
so the prophet wasn't
okay.
alone in his great missionary works.
Right, and I was wondering when you said he would leave the Europeans here long enough to just his government, and he also said that he would be working do better in the spirit realm. Is that an indication he knew he was going to be assassinated?
Yes, he knew he was going to be removed. Yeah. He knew that. Okay, hold on. So you're gonna tell me that he knows about Biden and Obama, like almost 100 years later, but he don't know within a couple of years he was gonna get removed, and he's supposed to be the prophet? Of course he knew. Yeah, he knew. Plus, he also knew that he was dealing with a bunch of dirty Moors during his time.
Yeah.
Not on some prophetic, not prophecy like they're gonna come. No, during his time. That's why he warned us that those in fezzes and turbans will take you back into slavery, and they did.
And they still are.
The leader, i.e. the leadership, and yes, they still are. It has become a culture of payouts.
Yeah.
People living good, not paying taxes, 501c3s, etc.
That's why they got to remove the feds.
That's why they got to remove the feds.
Islam.
That's why they got to remove the feds.
You
know, it's a culture of just dirty activity, and it's obvious. The temple has never been cleaned up. I challenge anybody to give me the name of the Moor that cleaned up the temple. I'll wait. I will be waiting forever. So what? I mean, we're talking about a split, a three-way split. That's a fact. We already know that. That's a historical event that took place in the Moor Science Temple of America after the prophet got assassinated. Gibbons, Ale, and the reincarnated prophet, the other guy, and the other guy. And those three splinters exist till today. So who's who and which one is right? I'll tell you who's who and what's right, the treaties. What does the treaty say? And the treaties predate the prophet.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They predate the prophet. Absolutely.
Treaties come before the Circle 7 Quran. The treaties come before the Constitution and bylaws. The treaties come before the Zodiac Constitution. The treaties come before all that. So why am I worried about the Zodiac and the AAA 2121 whatever 2122141?
Yeah, what is explain that for me, because I've heard it's where you won't be taxed, and then I heard it's something else statutory with the U.S. government. What exactly is that?
I've used it and it does work. You don't get taxed. You're tax exempt, if you will, or non-taxed at the register. And in your employment, perhaps it's a different scenario. Not perhaps, it is a different scenario. But it's based in the fact or the misconcept that extraterritorial jurisdiction by the United States was given up in Morocco, and that and consular court, through that principle, they understand that consular court is the power, but consular court was removed in 1956 by Eisenhower, right?
Yeah.
And so what the part that they're missing is the fact that that statute was not enacted into law. It's just a bill that's sitting on the president's desk for him to sign and enact into law. In other words, move on relinquishing extraterritorial jurisdiction, but only when he deems the time to be appropriate. That's what's in the document. That's what's in the bill. The president have the authority. The president himself got the authority to sign whenever he deems the time necessary or appropriate, I should say, to relinquish jurisdiction. However, the Moors have a misconcept thinking that they did relinquish it, and therefore AA 222141 is giving us the power back. But it's not. It's a trick back.
Because it's not enacted. It cured it once it's enacted, but it's not enacted.
Exactly.
Because, and the reason it's not, time is not appropriate, because the Moors are not up ready yet.
Yeah. Exactly. So what are we gonna do? Send Joe Biden a judicial order from consular court saying that, excuse me, Sleepy Joe, the time is right now. Go ahead and sign that bill. We've got a competent government, Moorish state government, who has taken over the Utipazadeta's jurisdiction of the trust territory formerly known as the state of Georgia. It is now AMPAG.
So he can relinquish territory by territory?
No, they would only relinquish our territory. They would only relinquish AMPAC's territory, and they would only relinquish New Mexico's territory. They would only
right. That's what I meant. That's what I was asking. Yes.
Yep. They ain't gonna. They're not gonna relinquish it across Morocco, even though we can potentially force them to do so. In fact, they would do so once after the ICJ. That's when they would end up. See, the ICJ judgment is going to make it easy and beautiful for all the other Moors, because now, for one, we don't have to wait 365 days. Because see, here's the other thing, Makara. Now that you're establishing your state and completing those boxes, you have 365 days before the United States could object, right, and say they don't recognize this state, whatever. They're not going to do it. They can't do it, but it is in place for them to exercise that. Just keep that in mind. We're currently going through our probation period, if you will. It will be up in July. I guess July 16th would be the 365th, and then July 17th would be the 366th day. And from that point, we can really go ham. This is the reason why AMPAC has waited. They haven't made major moves yet. They're starting now to make the major moves because they have gotten past the 365th day, that 1 year that's allowed for any form of rejection or objection, right? And so now, it's 100. It's 100 now. I mean, it's always been 100 because they can't reject it. They don't, according to the ICJ, they can't. We don't require the right of assent. Again,
approval. Yeah.
We don't require their approval. Again, the Naturalization Act was a fraudulent document. That's what put us in a position to where it made us citizens.
Yeah.
In the first place. That's why
without our knowledge, even. Yeah.
And that's why we have the authority to just what do you call that? Denounce or renounce the United States. Anybody else who tries to do so, a Korean who naturalized into the United States, in order for them to renounce, they'd have to pay for that. They have to pay. They have to get permission to renounce their citizenship in the United States. The only people that don't have to do any of that is the Moors. We can just return back to Morocco, according to Article 15. That's why they wanted to remove Article 15. Article 15 is a nationality clause. Period. They don't want you to know about Article 15.
Yeah, there's some sneaky, devious. Oh man, yeah, a mess. They just never behave. They just don't want to behave.
Well, remember, there's Moors involved in this, and I'm not necessarily even talking about. And I'm not even talking about sold out Moors. I'm talking about British Moors.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. They just wanted everything everywhere. Yep, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two different types of Moors that we're dealing with. British Moors who are trying to conquer us, and dirty Moors who are working with the British Moors and the colonizers who are Moroccans, i.e. Farrakhan, etc., that are working against us. So it's two different set of Moors.
The final call.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, it's easy to see them now. You can tell them right away now.
Mm-hmm.
Straight
Islam, Wazir. Islam, you speaking of Article 15, you're talking about the Act of Algeciras?
That's correct, good brother. No. Treaty of Madrid.
Treaty of Madrid, okay, 1880. Gotcha.
Right of protection.
Okay.
Paragraph 1. Yeah, Islam,
right,
brother.
Islam.
And paragraph 2 is just as important, because paragraph 2 says that if you don't choose between the submissions, then the laws of the country shall take effect without any restrictions. And that's what's going on. King Alfred plan and unum sanctum policies and all the stuff that Tasha Bay love talking about.
Because domestically, that's how they are lawfully allowed to behave. Internationally, no.
Right. Because we're all dead. And when I say we, or they really, because we're no longer dead, but that's not limited. You know how Moors be like, well, civiliter mortuus, you're black means dead in the eyes of law, and white means you're down. No, that's another misconcept. All of them are dead in the eyes of law, including white people. Nobody is a human being in the United States, because the United States is a corporation, a municipal.
That's right.
Only time, the only way that they can go back into being humans again is to reestablish, bring back from the shallow grave, the United States of America de jure republic. Through that government body, can they only have humans. And let me tell you something that's very interesting, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. Did y'all know that the Black's Law Dictionary does not define the term United States of America?
No.
It does not. It defines the United States. It defines the United States. It defines the United Nations. It defines the United Kingdom. But you will not find United States of America. Why? You don't find human in there? The next word after human that you can find is humanitarian something. So you're talking about something humanitarian, but you're not talking about humans. Why? Guess what else ain't in there? Population. The word population is not defined in the Black's Law Dictionary. I'm talking fourth edition. It's not defined in the why?
If they put the definition in there, it would give us the whole game, the whole cheat code.
That's one part. But the United States of America is not on there. The United States of America is the de jure republic, through which you have a population, and the population would be humans. You see the three words that aren't in the dictionary? They cannot define humans or population because they don't have neither, because there is no United States of America. That's the point. They slick. So if you don't have the United States of America, which is the de jure government who actually has a population of humans, they don't define United States of America, population, or humans. This is crazy. Look it up. Go pull out your fourth edition. You're not going to see population. You're not going to see you see humans, and you're not going to see United States of America.
Is that only in the fourth edition? Do you know?
As far as I know, yes.
It's in all of them. I think Jason isn't all of them. He was in all of them.
They started defining some of those words later on in the later versions, but not. They have humans in there in like the 5th or the 7th or something, but they still don't have population. They can't define population because they don't have a population. What they have are dead people, civiliter mortuus. So white people are civiliter mortuus. They're not alive in the eyes of law. Everybody is dead in the eyes of law. But what law are they dead in the eyes of? International law. Because you can't be dead in the eyes of municipal laws, because municipal law.
And as long as we're not acting internationally, that's right. We don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, that too, but remember, I'm not even limiting this to Moors. I'm talking about any United States citizen is a corporation. You could have came from China. I came from Panama. In my birth certificate, not only is it handwritten, but it's spelled out in its proper grammatical order. The first letter up, uppercase, and then in the rest, and then the next letter for your middle name, and then your last name uppercase, and then as it's supposed to be.
My name is handwritten mine as well.
Right, but what I'm saying though is I was de jure when I was in Panama. When I came to the United States, I ended up with a green card. My name on the green card is upper caps. When I got the social card, when I got the social security card, the name is in upper caps. Driver's license, upper caps. So
that's because they commercialize everything.
I understand, but listen to what I'm trying to get to you, and what I'm trying to impress upon y'all. What I'm saying is that everybody in the United States is dead in the eyes of the law. It's not limited to just black people. That's what Moors keep saying, that black means dead.
Because the United States is for the dead, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a corporation.
Yeah.
So they don't have human beings. Therefore, everyone is dead in the eyes of law. They're all corporations, white, black people, every people. And those who come from other countries who naturalize themselves, that's the other point that I was trying to make. They go from being de jure human being
to being a corporation.
Being a corporation.
Yeah. And unwillingly, unknowingly, because it's done so slickly, you don't realize it.
Right. It's probably unknowingly, yeah.
Yeah, that's corporation. That's corpse.
Yeah.
So the basis of what you're saying is the old paradigm, the misconcept was taught that civil leader more two or black means civil leader more two, but that's not the correct definition. Civil leader more two is dead. That's anybody in the corporation of the United States.
Correct. It's not limited to black. White people are civil leader more twos. Everybody's dead. Do they have more rights? Yeah, but they're still dead. Do we have the lowest rights? Yes, but we're still dead. Everybody's dead. Everybody's a corporation. Everyone is a dead corpse. Everyone is is a straw man. So in order for things to go back to how it's supposed to be, according to the treaties, that means that the United States Municipal Corporation would have to go away, and the United States of America Republic, de jure Republic, would have to come back online, just like Morocco would have to come back online. So both of those governments are buried in a shallow grave. The governments and the people, they're all void of a government. So we have to come back. We have to bring back Morocco back alive, and they have to bring United States of America back alive if they want to continue operating in Morocco. So that means everyone would have to leave the United States. Everybody got to leave the United States, whether you're going back to Morocco or you're going back to the United States of America. And all the melanated people, they're obligated to go back to Morocco. Will they? Well, that'll be left. That's up to them. They have the right to self-determination. But I tell you this: in order for them to remain as Americans, they would have to seek permission from a Moroccan government anyway. That's according to the treaties. They have to get the consent from a Moroccan government so in other words, they would have to denounce Morocco through a government so that they can now become a United States American. No different than if you wanted to denounce the United States, if you was Brazilian and go back to Brazil, you would have to denounce the United States to then go back to Brazil. Or if that makes sense, you have to get the consent from the current government or your potential specific government. If you let's put it this way: if a Brazilian wanted to leave Brazil to become an American, right, they have to get the consent from Brazil. That's what I was trying to say. I had to get consent from Panama to leave Panama to come to the United States and utilize the green card. The green card is an agreement between the United States and Panama, saying that I have the authority to work in the United States.
And they have to get the permission because that would be in a way like treason or
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you have to get permission from your Moroccan
Right,
government to
right.
remain an American.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's the reason why we don't have to get permission from the United States, because that's not our original jurisdiction. We were placed there by legislation. If you're going to get permission from anyone, it has to be from Morocco to come back to become American, not the other way around. That's why we don't have to get permission from them. They're subordinate. This stuff is actually easier than we think. The problem is that we've been rattled with misconceptions and misinformation for years, 40 years. Taj Tariq Bey, etc. All the VHS Moors. And I got love for all of them. I love Hakeem Bey. I love all the Moors. But it doesn't change the fact that we were misguided. You know, finding out by absolute evidence that you was an agent, that's a different story. Right now, it's all conjecture. All I can, is based on what we see, but it's not based on actual facts, right? So we might say Taj is compromised, but somebody can say, well, no, he's not. Well, okay, you can't argue with actual documents that shows and prove that. And we will be enacting legislation or corresponding with the FBI to relinquish your list of COINTELPRO agents. We will know who it is. We will have evidence of these people's transgressions, and they will be dealt with accordingly. Imagine locking up Farrakhan into a Moorish prison or some shit. Excuse my language. You know how powerful that is? You know how powerful that is? That's powerful, because you're holding your own accountable. So if we're willing to hold our own accountable, imagine what we're gonna do to you colonizers if you don't obey by our Moroccan laws. See, being strict and being stern has nothing to do with being in the spirit of hate. You can be in the spirit of love, but just because you're in the spirit of love just as well doesn't mean that you got to be soft and docile and easygoing. No, we will be stern. We will be straight up. We will be holding people accountable, but it's going to be in the spirit of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, meaning that due process must take place. You don't just jump straight to adjudication. Investigation, mediation, and all these things must take place before we can adjudicate anyone. I can't bring you in court and say, okay, he stole from me, and the judge says, okay, you got 20 years. It's like, oh, excuse me? There's no investigation, right? It's common sense. You know, there's got to be some sort of investigation so that you'll be found guilty and then adjudicate against you. But we will be firm, and we will be firm, especially about that Fez. And any form of propaganda and defamation of character, trying to call us sovereign citizens or anything like that. The only way you approach us or address us is as Moroccan nationals, Moroccans, Moors, the Moorish people. That's it. There's not too much more. The Sharifian authorities, the Moxons, whatever else, but everything better be in line with the treaties. It better be in line with the truth and the facts on who we really are. Anything outside of that is going to be like how the Jews do you. Probably even worse. Ask Kanye. Ask Nick Cannon. When them Jews put the clamp on him, well, he started crying and apologizing. Let's see what Kanye does. Let's see what Kanye does since he walked with Jesus. So, Islam, this was a wonderful discussion, y'all. We'll continue doing this. What y'all think? Should we continue doing the open discussion every Wednesday?
Islam.
I think I agree with everyone.
Yeah,
But I think everyone is in agreement. You know, yeah. So, I guess to close out, we're definitely on the right path. were following along the yellow brick road. If Dorothy would have got off the yellow brick road, she never would have found her way home. Right? Through the triple principles, sovereignty and independence, integrity of domain, liberty without any inequality. What's the other three principles? Legislative branch, executive branch, judicial branch. That's what we have. You can't take that lightly. We're definitely with full powers and in line and great. That's something that hasn't been done in centuries. We fell out of power centuries ago. Prophet said, this is for the third and fourth generation. He went lying because the third and fourth generation brought about what? Technology, social media, YouTube, Facebook. So, credit is due to those who woke us up, Tasha Bay and all the old VHS Moors. There's credit there for the awakening of our consanguinity and our national identity, etc. Shame on you for the misconceptions, especially if you knew better. But credit is given where credit is due, but where there is no credit to give, there's no credit to be given. But without the good brother Prophet Noble Ali, there wouldn't be no such thing as AMPAG, New Mecca, DMT, or Meru, nothing. We'll still be in darkness. So we've got to honor the Prophet for all that his great missionary work of waking us up, and giving us the clues to then 100 years later, after all the mess, finally realize that the other half was actually international law and statehood. So we're doing the right things. We're following the exact principles of international law, the instructions that's been laid out in international law, and we can't lose with consular court. So with that said, good brothers and sisters, mothers and divine sons, if anyone else got anything else to say, I'll yield the floor for a couple of seconds and then we'll close out. Islam, peace, love, and prosperity to everyone. May the blessings of Allah be upon you all. And we'll get back together on Sunday at 7:30. We'll be possibly going over the law of treaties, so we can examine the point. So we can examine the point as to why it is that international law only deals with states. Only states can enforce constitutions and treaties and international law documents, okay? So with that said, peace, love, and light. Y'all have a wonderful night, and may the blessings of Allah be upon you all. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Yes. Love.
Peace.